Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friend through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me, as always, is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
50 fucking episodes, Joey.
50 motherfucking episodes. I mean, to be fair, it's 49 episodes and 7 bonus episodes. But also, we are currently recording the 50th motherfucking episode. So
50 episodes. Hello.
Wow.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, friends. Holy shit. We did it. We made it here. This seemed like such a fucking pipe dream when I made the first outline of the schedule. It changed a couple times since. And I don't even think there was talk of bonus episodes at the time. So
Did the 50th episode ever change on what we're covering?
No, never. This was always it. Speaking of, today on Fresh Face Comics, we're talking about Batman by Tom King, Batman Rebirth Deluxe Edition, Book 1, and Night of the Monster Men. These being the first 15 issues of Batman, issues 5 and 6 of Nightwing, 941 and 942 of Detective Comics, and Batman Rebirth #1. It's a 20-issue episode. So fucking excited. And we have plenty of Twitter questions to talk about for it. And we asked for a bunch of questions and comments about us making it to 50 episodes on Twitter. So we have a lot of things to get into. So let's jump into our non-spoiler section. Jacob, what is Batman Rebirth by Tom King about?
Well, it is... It's so interesting to talk about this, because this is immediately after the New 52. We are sort of in a main DC universe. I don't know if all continuity is back on yet or not.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
So as far as I understood it, because I was reading most of it as it came out, it was that the last big New 52 event, Convergence, the thing that got rid of the New 52 label, is the one that made pretty much everything, most things canon again, but also just kept in line the things that happened in the New 52. So and then this Rebirth kept going from there, but also just with collectively under the umbrella of you can start here. It's meant to be new reader friendly, which is what it should be doing, and it's nice.
This is the first time within the last 5 years of comics that someone new has taken on the Batman title.
Mm-hmm.
We have Tom King.
There were other Batman titles going on, but yeah, the main Batman title.
But the Batman title, this is Batman, because I'm sure we'll cover some of those other books like Detective Comics.
I know we're definitely going to do Batman and Robin by Peter J. Tomasi someday, because that's fucking beautiful.
Yes. And here's what's fascinating, right? So I don't know if there wasn't these nice hardcover editions, how we do this. This would be our first 3-booker episode, because I don't think we could stop at Night of the Monster Men.
I mean, if I was restricting myself to trades, I probably would force myself to just do I Am Gotham and Night of the Monster Men. But I think the fact that we have these beautiful, sexy hardcover deluxe editions, all of the Tom King run is collected in 6 of these bad boys. Minus tie-ins, unfortunately. But the fact that we have these collections, it was kind of the perfect opportunity, and plus a great way to celebrate 50 episodes by doing just more than normal.
More than normal. So. It's a lot, and this is Tom King coming in and making his statement on what he wants Batman to be. And I will say, I was a bit nervous going in that, because I loved the Snyder run to bits. I know.
And here's the thing, a lot of people were apprehensive too. It's really hard to follow up the fucking act that is Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
I say King does it based on these first 3 arcs. Well, 4 arcs technically, because the I Am Suicide
the last trade is technically 2. Yeah,
technically 2. Slight rough start with the first 6 issues in a way. I think King takes a little bit to find his feet, but he's found his feet and he has some interesting things to say. Don't know if I don't know if I like it all. I don't know if I'm going to like where it all goes. I know some people have issues with some of the run, and I knew going in that this was a run that was aiming for 100 issues, but then got cut short.
See, it's funny because then also I believe there was also talk of like before King got to 50 that he was going to stop way before 85 as well. But once they gave him that extension, like he was going to go to 100, and he had a whole like extra 50 after 50 planned. So it's interesting. I think it still works out personally, but remains to be seen for another day. That's a totally different topic. Yeah. So
these are. It's okay. So it's the first 6 issues is a contained-ish story arc. That I'm gonna say probably the. I don't want to say it's the weakest, because it's either this or Monsterman that are the weakest of the arcs that we've read today. Because I will say
it's all good. I think
it's all good, but it's just it takes King a little bit just to find the feed, find the groove. I'd argue he takes maybe a little too long to really play his first card, and that first card is.
I think something to be considered though maybe is that these were also shipping twice monthly. So when you're like, oh man,
true.
So when you think like, oh man, this took 6 months to do this kind of okay arc, it's like, no, it took 3 months because those 6 issues came out across 3 months.
Yeah.
So that may also be important to keep in mind. That King was like, King, this run was releasing at a fucking breakneck speed by comic standards.
Yes. I mean, I'd argue he doesn't really get to really play his first card until the end of issue 9. Like as soon as the end of issue 9 happens, a switch is flipped, and King suddenly just knows what he's doing. While still making the reader apprehensive with some of the character developments involving a certain character. That's very interesting. It's also very much King is a Batman fan, and he wants you to know that.
Oh my god, yeah. Dude is such a fan, yeah.
I'm like, oh, you are a nerd, sir.
Yeah.
Say respectfully. I know there's a non-zero chance that Tom King at one point would be listening to this. But
and in response would call us nerds, as he does so often on Twitter.
Do we start a blood feud with Tom King? I don't know.
Do we start a blood feud with Tom King? I'd rather shoot for Gail Simone first.
I want to shoot with Gail Simone. That sounds.
She'll win, but it'll be fun to lose.
I don't think anyone can win in a blood feud against Gail Simone.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, it's also broken up by this Bat book crossover, which is Night of the Monster Men, which is King's a plotter on it, but he's not an actual writer. Most of the writing duties for that went to Steve Orlando. With input then from the 3 authors of the 3 books, Tom King doing Batman, James Tynion the 4th on Detective Comics, and Tim Seeley on Nightwing.
Tim Seeley is so good. That is an author that I keep overlooking when scheduling things for the podcast. I'm like, oh wait, I do love Tim Seeley, and I just keep forgetting to put things by him in there.
It's also just the trouble of there being a lot.
So many. The fact that we made it 50 episodes and we haven't done any Gail Simone or Tom Taylor just kills me. You know?
Simone hurts. Simone hurts me because of
we will do Simone. We will do Simone. Don't worry. It's gonna happen, Jago. Leave me alone.
The fact that Gail Simone will forever have her name in literary criticism, all because of just a Blythe blog observation on the treatment of female characters in comics.
Yeah.
Nothing but respect for her.
Fucking legend. Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry, did you have anything else to add before?
It's 4 arcs. Interesting characters. Interesting characterization. Very different from Snyder. Not always necessarily to my tastes in particular, but I can still recognize King's at least with these 4 arcs, a very good writer. And the last 2 issues are. We'll get to them, but they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's yep. So yeah, I guess let's get into some Twitter questions. Now we have a variety of questions and comments, things talking about both our Batman comics that we're covering today and the fact that we're on 50 episodes now. So I'm gonna try to separate them, but for the most part, they're gonna be in like a random order. So I'm gonna try to do all the Batman ones first. I'll see if I can, but I have a lot of Twitter tabs open right now. So here we go.
There's so much.
Our first Twitter question comes from our friend Mason at the GD256. First says, if you had to pick one, what Batman comic would you pick to be 3D animated in the style of a shitty 2000s movie like Space Chimps? Oh man,
Mason,
we are starting off so strong today. Oh my god. Oh fuck.
You know what? The Dark Knight strikes again.
Yes, please. That's miserable. Oh my god. His second question says, which character in the story has the worst design?
Can I say Gotham and Gotham Girl? I don't love their designs all that much.
I mean, the point is that they're meant to be kind of hokey and shitty. So I understand that.
I especially don't like Gotham Girl post the first story where like
you can't really spoil that, yeah. But yeah, I get what you mean. I don't know. They're meant to be, I guess, sort of like bad and generic designs. So I guess by default them, because I don't really have any designs that I don't like in this. But yeah. His third question says, which Batman comic would you most like to live in? I don't know if I'd like to live in any version of Gotham City, Mason. I don't know. What's the
Wayne Family Adventures?
That's fair. I was gonna ask what's the one where I'm least likely to get hurt on a daily basis. Probably that. Yeah. Yeah. We have two questions in a row. These aren't really related to anything at all. You know what? I'll count this under a 50th episode question. We got two of these from our friend Kian at Kian the Quark, a callback to episodes 18, 19, and 20 of the podcast, which we were consistently getting from him and another friend of ours. A picture of the pteroleptils from the Doctor Who story The Visitation around a green glowing object with the caption Le Green Lantern. And sure. Yep. That's yep.
Yep.
Yep. Kian also says, when am I allowed to come on and be nice about King's Mr. Miracle with the end goal of me coming on to trash heroes in crisis? I can't tailor the Fresh Face Comics experience to you, Kian, but that is certainly an idea that I can incorporate.
I think we'll be working on getting him on something. At some point.
Totally. Yeah. Our next question comes from, oddly enough, our friend Brian Corrigan at BriarHeart02, who I never thought would ever submit anything for the podcast, says, why do Batman smell and why do Robin lay egg? Jacob, I'm going to turn that one to you.
Because Batmobile lost wheel and Joker got away.
You know what? That's pretty fucking good.
Also, you want to know who got Brian to ask a question?
You, I'm assuming. Because it's always you. It's always you, Jacob.
I didn't tell him what to ask him. Like, Brian, it's 50 episodes. Just ask one, please.
Oh, man. Also, I'm just noticing, because Twitter does that view thing, I just noticed that the tweet that I put out the Q&A on has 1,666 views. So, How about that? Anyway, our next question comes from English Giraffe at English_Giraffe. Says, now that you're covering Tom King, you now have to cover his magnum opus, Mr. Miracle. It's required law. And that is the trick. The massive Tom King fan I am, I have not read Mr. Miracle.
Maybe you should, because
I should.
Two people mention it now.
Here's the thing. It's true. And I know it's supposed to be amazing. I've just never read it. I fell in love with Tom King because of his Batman run. And ever since he left the book, I've read pretty much like everything he's picked up, everything he's written since for DC. And I don't know. I just, for some reason, just never picked up Mr. Miracle. So I apologize for that, and I will rectify that as soon as I can. Our next set of questions, our back and forth, comes from at Jamie at Jamie_season7. Says, what a good start to the run. I'm sure DC won't decide to cut it short.
Wait,
I mean, yeah. To which Kian replied, "But did they? Because surely Batman Catwoman was what the last 12 issues would have been." I'm not sure if you've read Batman Catwoman because it's not quite an end to the King run. It's if you wanted to isolate the King run as its own and then lead into Batman Catwoman, sure, but it's not going to really work in any other sort of larger DC continuity that way. But yeah, I don't know. There you go. Kian also says, we got a lot of questions from Kian. Kian says, is he Gotham or is he Suicide? Well, I think you'll find, based on the arcs we're covering today, Kian, that he is both.
He's both.
So,
but
yeah.
a little more of the latter.
Yeah. Our next question comes from my favorite person on the face of the earth, Rules Panda, at Joey Can Read This, says, I know you said you never read any weird comic crossovers before, but please tell me you've at least read the Tom King penned Batman Elmer Fudd crossover. So here's the thing. So I put up a thing like the other day that asked me like comic questions, and Rose Panda asked me what are like my favorite like crossovers and all that, and I like weird like comic company crossovers, and I was like, I haven't actually read any, not to my knowledge at least, and that actually got me thinking about the Batman Elmer Fudd crossover written by Tom King, which I've never read and I want to read, so I will now. I will get there definitely just for you. And then our last, I guess, Batman question, as long as I'm actually getting to them all, I hope I am, comes from our friend Andrew over on Discord. Says, Tom King's run on Batman kind of comes across to me as similar to Moffat's run on Doctor Who. Very controversial, but with some good ideas that rise to the top. Do you think this comparison fits? I haven't read the bulk of the run yet. This is just speculation based on fan reactions. I don't think that's fair. I think King's take on Batman is very different to Moffat's take on Doctor Who. King is more about telling like a really like personal story for Bruce as a character, whereas Moffat's a bit more grandiose than King is. I'm not sure if I'd agree with that. Jacob, any thoughts on that?
I don't know if their storytelling styles are similar. I mean, maybe slightly in the way that King and Moffat implement romance, but I think King implements romance better than Moffat.
I would most definitely agree with that.
Come at me, Moffat stans.
What Moffat stans listen to this podcast?
That's a very good question.
Yeah. I'd like to find the one.
I'd like to find out.
All right. We have a bunch of questions then for our 50th episode of the podcast.
50th episode.
I want to start off probably the best way I can from Jamie, who says, what the fuck is a comic book?
Oh. That's a good question.
That's a good question. I think a comic book is a literary visual medium.
The friends we made along the way.
Yes, that exactly. That's what that is. God damn it. Our next question comes from Kian once again. When are you reading either Spider-Man or Fantastic Four Life Story? Well, I have read Spider-Man Life Story. I'm not commenting on whether or not we're covering that or Fantastic Four Life Story on the podcast at all. But
you don't want to give me any ammunition for my dartboard?
It's true. We were having a great conversation about our Marvel block coming up next episode, and I kind of can't wait for the end of this. So
I have darts to throw.
It's going to be really funny. Let's see. We're going to jump over to, once again, to Discord. Andrew has another set of questions for the podcast. Jacob, as a fairly fresh newborn comic fan, what's a series or run you haven't read yet that you want to get into in the near future?
Okay. Do I have to limit it to just one?
Go off. Go the fuck ahead.
Batman by Grant Morrison, Batgirl by Gail Simone.
Did you make a list?
What?
Did you make a list?
What list?
Did you make a list for this question?
No, I didn't make a list. This is just off the top of my...
It sounds like you're about to like read something.
I'm just tallying on my fingers.
Sorry, go on.
Batman by Grant Morrison, Batgirl by Gail Simone, Birds of Prey by Gail Simone, Nightwing by anyone, potentially Tom Taylor. I've heard good things about Taylor's run, but potentially other runs there. Action Comics by Grant Morrison, Superman by Peter J. Tomasi, I'm very curious about Superman by John Byrne, even though that's kind of controversial. Batman and Robin by Tomasi as well. And then for Marvel, X-Men by Chris Claremont, Spider-Man by Stan Lee. I'm kind of curious about Daredevil by Frank Miller, despite it being Miller. Yeah, that's about that. That's quite a few. That's quite a few.
Based off that pretty massive list, I think honestly I've done a pretty good job of filling some of those in the near-ish future.
Future. The problem is with Marvel, I don't know many famous runs, so
that's a good thing. It's
that's more characters. Like I'm also interested in the Hulk because Kira adores the Hulk, and I think that's like fascinating character, as well as Captain America because I'm always down for let's question the ethics and values of America. Yeah, so lots of things.
Andrew actually also had a second half of his question for you. Do you feel differently about comics as a medium compared to when you started the podcast?
Not really. Like, the thing is, before I started the podcast, they weren't as much on my radar. It was like I had read The Sandman, and I loved The Sandman. Like, No Springs is a thing that I had never gotten into. And I probably wouldn't have without the podcast happening. Which is very true. But yeah.
Nice. Cool. Andrew has a question from you, which says, Joey, has doing this podcast furthered your love for comics? Is there anything you reread for the podcast that you feel differently about now compared to when you first read it? Has it furthered my love for comics? Fuck yeah. I adore just sharing anything I love with people that I'm friends with, people that I like hanging out with, and I love showing them things that I am deeply passionate about. So yeah, it always just makes me just even more in love with the thing that I love when I get to share that with someone that I care about. So, and then as far as rereading things that I like, have changed my opinion on, it's mostly just things that I like more now than I did before. I always find something new to appreciate in Scott Snyder's Batman. I think I legitimately love George Price's Wonder Woman now because of my conversations with you about it. Yeah, just things like that. It's mostly just loving things more, which is always a good thing, and I'll always take it. So yeah. Back to Twitter for a second. Mason has a couple questions. What has been the funniest moment of the podcast so far? I've been thinking about this question a lot, and I don't know. We've had so many great laughs on this show.
I mean, probably for me in Wonder Woman, the Greek name debacle.
Dude, that is an ongoing saga, my guy.
And I think it's only going to get worse as we read more Wonder Woman.
You're absolutely correct. I can't wait for that. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, that's always fun. Man, they're just like fun episodes in general. Like in recent memory, the one we did with Mason, oddly enough, on Secret Origin. I think we had a lot of really funny moments on that. Him reading out the entire introduction by Ryan Reynolds for Secret Origin was so fucking funny. Yeah, we've had a lot of great laughs, and honestly, it's hard to pin down to just like one or two. Yeah, it's a great time. He also says, for Joey, did any opinion on comic drastically change? We already covered that. Sorry about that, Mason. Mason also says, for Jacob, do you still feel like a fresh face in the world of comics?
Yeah, because there's still a lot we haven't covered. Like, we've gotten the basics of some of the DC big names. We've done
doesn't that feel weird to still say at 50 episodes in?
Like, this is 50 episodes. 50.
That's why, like, I think when, like, because, like, I think, like, to other people, it could seem weird that, like, oh yeah, we're dedicating so much time to DC. It's getting 50 episodes in, and, like, it still feels to both, like, me and you that we just barely scratched the surface, that we're only still just getting into it. This is our first ever Rebirth comic we're covering, and it took us 50 episodes to get here. Yeah, it's I think that, yeah, if I may jump in on that, yeah, you're definitely still a fresh face.
Yes.
And that's why I would never change the name of this podcast, because
and we haven't even done, like, we've barely done any pre-crisis DC. Like, we've done 4, technically 5 episodes if you count Dark Knight Returns, because that was published slightly before, like, while Crisis was also happening. So yeah. Like,
there's still so much we haven't done, and so much I can't wait to do. So yeah. And if you could redo an episode, which would it be? I mean, putting aside like technical quality on things, mic quality and all that. I don't know. I really don't think I would change any episodes that we've done. I think the content of our podcast has kind of stayed the same. We've been having sort of just the same great engaging conversations that I always feel fulfilled by talking about these things with you. Yeah, I'm not sure I would redo any episodes. Would you?
I'm not sure either. Maybe the Daredevil season 1 bonus episode to maybe have a bit of a more robust conversation on that one.
Possible.
That's possible.
Yeah.
That's about it that I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's really more like just maybe I'd like to go back in time and force myself to change my recording methods. But that's about it. Yeah, I love the conversations we have on this podcast. I wouldn't change those for the world. Our next set of questions come from my brother, Jacob Morgan, at HezerZid on Twitter. Who's been your favorite guest so far? Says the past guest.
Past guest.
I can't play favorites, even if the person asking is my fucking brother. I'm also glad that he asked this though, because it's shining a spotlight on the amazing guests we've had over these first 50 episodes is very much needed, because we've had some amazing people on the podcast so far.
You know what? I'll play favorites. I'll play favorites with a guest that we haven't recorded with yet. English Giraffe.
True. Very true. You know what? Yeah, we need to record with English Giraffe someday. Most definitely.
Yes. I mean, we are. We have plans.
We are. Yeah.
We have plans.
Yeah, we're planning with it. We're planning. We're planning things.
We're planning sneaky plans.
Yeah. We can surprise you guys. Come on. Anyway, Jacob's next question says, "What's been the best / worst comic you've read so far?" Actually, yeah. What is your all-time favorite and worst that we've done so far?
Oh, that we've done. Yeah. Worst is Dark Knight Strikes Again. Like. No one's gonna argue with that. But best, how about best? The best is still All-Star Superman. Like that
really?
book.
That
book affected me in ways that I was not expecting, because it's Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's amazing. But if I want to say the peak of the medium in general, The Sandman as a whole still takes the cake. But that's also difficult because, that's comparing a 75-issue comic full run to
the 8 that we covered. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I have an absolute favorite. I can call out a couple favorites. I love every Scott Snyder episode we did, because I love every single one of those arcs to pieces. All of the Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale comics we did, Long Halloween, Dark Victory, even When in Rome. Killing Joke's beautiful. All-Star Superman, Sinestro Corps War, Justice League Origin. I love that so much. All of George Perez's Wonder Woman. It's so hard to just narrow it down to one. And of course, Hellblazer and Swamp Thing, and this, honestly, because I love this book so much. Great stuff. Jacob also says, "What's better, a long storyline or something short?"
That entirely depends on what's trying to be said.
True.
Like they're different beasts. That one's not necessarily better than the other. There are some long stories that I hate. There are long stories that I've loved. There are short stories that I've hated. Hi, Dark Knight Strikes Again.
I mean... It's 3 triple length issues. Is it really short if it's that much of a pain in the ass to get through?
I mean, you're not wrong, but you're also not right.
I don't know. It's tough with comics. Comics are. I think that's what I love about comics as a medium. Is it's so versatile. I don't think I could say like I prefer a short story or a long story. Like my 2 favorite stories from this volume we're covering today are one of the longer ones, I Am Suicide, and the shortest one here, Rooftops. Like they're both fantastic and for very different reasons. I think it's hard to say, but His last question says, should there be more adaptations of comic material or stories inspired by them? Absolutely. Comics are a very rich medium, and continually adapting those into different films and TV shows, I think is part of the lifeblood of comics. They sort of feed off each other at this point,
And adapt more than just the superhero stuff.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, there are great non-superhero adaptations out there. They just don't get as much coverage as superhero ones do.
Yes.
Like Preacher's a great show. The Boys, everybody loves, of course. The Constantine 2014, Swamp Thing 2019, all fantastic things, and not about superheroes. So yeah. Anyway, our last set of questions come from English Giraffe at English_Giraffe. Finishing this out. Congrats on getting to 50 episodes. You've been one of the greatest comic book podcasts, and I look forward to 50 episodes more. Before I even continue with that, just seriously, thank you so much. That means so fucking much. Like, I don't know. I don't know. The fact that I first off didn't even expect to be here, and it feels like the time just flew by getting here. It is insane to me, and I the fact that somebody actually just, I don't know, it truly enjoys the work that we put out. Even if it's just one person, I know it's not just one person, but even if it was just one, it's rewarding as hell. So yeah. Question is, do you often compare your current episodes to when you first started out with The Long Halloween? Me, I could say yes all the time. I already mentioned I want to invent a fucking time machine and go back to 2021 and tell myself not to record the first 2 episodes of your new podcast on your fucking phone.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I want to tell myself then to not stick with Skype for fucking a year and a half into the podcast.
Yes.
I want to tell myself to do a lot of things different and not just podcast related.
Mostly technical things, honestly.
Yeah. Because of course, the conversations that we've had have mostly stayed the same. And but yeah, I do think a lot about
maybe go a little more in depth on Long Halloween with some of the themes and ideas. We did kind of go.
Here's the thing: we went into that episode just completely blind. We had no structure in mind. I was just like, yeah, sure, we'll do a non-spoiler section and a spoiler section. That's it. Sure, we'll talk about that. That's how it'll go. And we went in with no fucking net. And I think it was like halfway through that episode that we were like, hey, maybe we should actually like go through the plot like piece by piece so we could actually like talk about it. Yeah. So I think about those older episodes all the time, and for better and for worse, just think like both how far we've come and how much I truly did love those early days and still love doing the podcast to this day.
Yes.
Yeah.
You also, I think, may have missed one that might have snuck to the bottom from our good friend Jamie at Jamie_season7.
Oh.
It's a question he's actually asked before, and we've made very clear our terms on how this would happen. The question is, when are you covering Bloodlines?
Oh fuck! Where did that go? It got completely buried in my notifications. Shit.
This is what happens. This is what happens when we get so many great questions.
You know what, Jamie, though? That is an even more fitting question to finish this out.
Yes. But Jamie, when DC collects an omnibus of Bloodlines,
which is why the campaign continues. # make the Bloodlines omnibus.
The Bloodlines omnibus.
It's gonna fucking happen someday.
It's going to. They're doing a Phantom Stranger omnibus, apparently.
Exactly. If they can make a fucking Phantom Stranger omni, there's a fucking Question omni out there.
There are 2 Question omnis.
Yeah, like come on, like we can get the Bloodlines omni. It can happen.
90s nostalgia is a powerful thing. I'm sure people...
And let's consider these things. It took them... They only just recently collected Green Arrow by Mike Grell. We only just got that not that long ago. And they split it into 2 omnis, which does have a Bloodlines tie-in in it, I would like to mention. But yeah, like I think we're probably not going to get it. But if we believe hard enough, if we beg DC, it'll happen someday. When this podcast is big, when we really make it big... We can start campaigning for this hard. We're gonna get the Bloodlines omni someday.
Yes,
it's gonna happen when I've collected all the single issues for Bloodlines. That's when it's gonna happen.
That's when it'll happen. Yes.
Anyway, but yeah, wow. I think that was our longest non-spoiler section ever. But well deserved because it's our 15th episode. I keep saying that making it more real in my head.
It's 50. Next episode 50. Is 51.
Yeah, and just wow. I don't know. Oh God. All right, let's get into this. As always, I will leave the books that we're covering today linked in the description below through Amazon. You can buy those there if you're interested, as well as the book that we're covering next time on the podcast. That'll be down there in the description as well through an Amazon link. You can check that out there. And also that'll be the start of our very first Marvel block on the podcast, which is fucking massive. Oh. Nice 10 episode block, two episodes for like mini blocks in between. So 5 blocks for teams and characters in that 10 episode block. I'm very excited about it. Like so ridiculously excited about it. So be sure to stick around to the end of the episode if you want to find out what that is. So, yeah. All right. And once again, I guess before we get into it, just thank you all so much for supporting us over these past 50 episodes. It has meant the absolute world to us. I guess, here's to 50 more.
And let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's start. Is this your favorite Batman run?
It's like tied with Scott Snyder.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and it's fitting that we don't start with Batman #1. We start with Batman Rebirth #1.
Yes. So this was their first big push for Rebirth. They made all these one shots to toss out there in the open, and to get people interested. And in some cases like this, it was a passing of the torch because this Rebirth one shot is written by both Scott Snyder and Tom King to sort of transition from the Snyder run into the King run. It's drawn by Mikel Hannon, which I'm so happy about that we're just covering more Mikel Hannon things, and also that it's not Trinity War this time. So.
Mikel Hannon does get one of the arcs to draw. I can speak.
Yeah, all to himself. He gets probably the best arc, second best arc in this whole thing. It's great stuff.
Leagues ahead of what he was dealing with Trinity War.
Though he did get to draw a bunch of pretty pictures in Trinity War.
Yes, so, he did. What I find interesting about Batman Rebirth #1 is how much of a blend of the styles of Snyder and King it actually is.
Yeah, I think especially the Calendar Man aspect of this was very Snyder.
Oh, very, very Snyder.
And then everything else felt like King, I think.
What's interesting, the use of seasons and the days of the week actually feels kind of King.
Totally. Yep.
Which is surprising that they work so well together.
And then you have Snyder's alternative take on a famous Batman villain that he loves doing, with the portrayal of Calendar Man here literally being a man that sheds his own skin with the seasons. It's a fascinating idea. I love it. It's a really cool first issue. I think it really lands. There's also that great Tom King sort of minimalist style with a lot of the dialogue. King doesn't go too hard on dialogue. I think you've found throughout these first couple issues here. He loves telling his story through the visual medium that is comics, which may also be because once again he was putting these out twice monthly. But I don't know. I think it really works for his run on Batman.
Yes. I will say, and this is, fairly of a. I think it's actually a slightly shorter issue.
Yeah, it's like 20 exactly. I think.
20 pages, but we pack a lot of character into this.
Yeah.
It starts with Duke Thomas coming to Wayne Manor. He's here about the offer. I think properly train as a superhero under Batman now that his parents are indisposed, shall we say. We then have Batman fighting Calendar Man and it directly working with the GCPD in the wake of Super Heavy in Bloom.
Also, evolution of his relationship with the GCPD, which is really nice.
It's also fascinating because it puts Batman in a position of authority, which is something that the rest of these arcs will explore.
Bring it back to that Adam West shit, that duly deputized officer of the law.
I feel kind of dumb for not making that connection. I really should have. I'm usually better than this. But yeah, that might make more sense of what's being homaged.
That's possible. Yeah.
King is a nerd. Also, so I think we vaguely mentioned it when we did Bloom and Super Heavy, but the Rebirth suit,
so good. It's such
gorgeous.
A good suit.
Like, it's so colorful, but the colors work. Like,
yeah, and they didn't tone it down by muting it. They just put the colors like in exactly the right places, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think we also commented on this in one of our one-shots, in our recent one-shot episode on Brave and the Bold, where Kelly Jones did a take on the Rebirth suit.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just want every classic Batman artist to do their take on this suit, because it's so interesting.
Yeah, it's great.
We
then also get a look at Lucius Fox here, which is nice, as Bruce is training on the side of a helicopter landing pad, which is just, I don't know, it's just funny.
It's very Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, as he's sweating so much, it's like one of the hottest days of the year. As so much so that he like literally falls off the pad and slips off of it and grabs it, grabs like with his other hand. Yeah. I don't know, just a fun little sequence. We then get into that different take on the Calendar Man I was talking about. That as it's fall, he's like literally withering like a leaf. You see his like skin get all wrinkly and cracked. As Bruce is telling Duke Thomas about this. Also, just again, another one of those Scott Snyder things that like he does these really cool alternative takes on famous Batman villains, and they never get brought up again. I don't know what it is with that.
Perhaps a more slavish devotion to nostalgia and stagnation.
Yeah, very possibly. But yeah, Mikhail Hanna gets to draw beautiful. What's up?
Batcave, gorgeous Batcave,
yeah. Gorgeous Batcave.
Very tech. Not only you see, in the foreground the classic Jason Todd glass suit, but also, I believe I'm noticing, I think Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown's suits are the two that I think are like next to it.
I believe so, yeah.
But and there are other two that I sadly can't recognize because they're kind of small.
Yeah, they're kind of obscured at the back there. But yeah. It's great. We then get our first official look at the Signal suit, which I know you read Wayne Family Adventures, so you have that. So you already know what it looks like, but it's cool. I don't know. I like it.
I love the idea of Bruce wanting to do something new with a sidekick.
Yeah, like not just make Duke Robin, which is nice.
He doesn't need a sixth Robin.
Yeah. Well, okay, this is still continuing on from New 52 continuity, so he only had 4 Robins, technically.
He does not need a 5th Robin. And then for the rest of this, we don't actually get to see Duke as Signal for a while.
Yeah, no. It's especially given because I know we'll talk about it a bit more when we get to Night of the Monster Men. But yeah, it definitely has something to do with something that was happening in Detective Comics, I would say, as to why we weren't going full on with Duke as Signal yet. But
we have him giving tech support.
Yeah, pretty much being Oracle, because
yes,
DC still wants Babs out of the chair. But yeah.
Which is a choice.
Yeah. You get a little bit of Duke in the actual Signal costume though towards the end, as in our winter segment. And then we see in spring that Calendar Man has completely withered as literally a new Calendar Man sheds the old skin of Calendar Man and comes out fresh, and just it's fascinating and grotesque in that beautiful Scott Snyder way. I love it.
Yes.
We get a great scene of Bruce and Duke training then, and we end the issue on this great little moment where Alfred drops a seed, I'm guessing, into
it's an avocado.
Yeah, okay. Into the cave below as the bats swarm in the cave, and it's great. it's a great way to the issue, and I like that. I found that most of the one shots, the ones that I've read at least from early Rebirth, are very standalone, but also tell you to like read the run that's coming up soon. It's nice. It was a cool way to do it. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it thematically shows what the early part of the King run is going to be about.
Yeah.
Like this recurring weak motif actually comes back throughout the first arc. And it does set up Duke Thomas as a fairly big character for the arc.
Yeah, totally.
Which I think is great.
Yeah. Let's get into the actual Batman #1 now. So this is your first ever thing, I think, drawn by David Finch, right?
I believe so.
Such a good artist.
Very good artist.
Yeah, I love him.
And I will say, very strong first issue of the arc proper, at least.
Yeah, this is I Am Gotham Part 1.
I Am Gotham Part 1. Very reflective of Snyder's whole Gotham is motif.
I think King takes pretty much like these whole first 6 issues to transition us more from Snyder into King rather than slapping you in the face immediately with King's style, because again, you're following up the act that is Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. It's really fucking hard.
It was the one run. It was one of the few runs of the New 52 that was unequivocally selling numbers and doing critically
and not just selling because it's Batman. You can always sell Batman, but like it was selling because it was really good. And the fact that Court of Owls and Zero Year are still purported as some of like the best beginner Batman comics ever, and that's like what, more than a third of the run right there.
Run
kind of tells you all you need to know about just how great that run is.
Yes,
yeah, it's fantastic.
And we have something interesting. We have an outsider coming into Gotham. This kid traveling on a plane, making its descent. While the bat signals in the sky, we have a classic Bruce Gordon scene. This time discussing about how Batman has been stealing information from the GCPD despite their partnership.
Which I find it really fascinating how King writes Gordon specifically in a post super heavy kind of story. He takes Gordon's character and puts him in a bit more of a backseat first off, but also just has him be in general just way more blasé about Batman as a whole, which I find really fascinating.
It's sort of that reflection of Jim Gordon has now lived a time as Batman.
Yeah.
There's also this. There's going to be this underpinning through kind of all the arcs of these Cobra operatives, which I imagine King's going to do something with at some point. If not King, something in the larger Rebirth DC era. Because Cobra's a terrorist cell. And, while this conversation is happening, a missile blows up the plane. And Bruce immediately reacts.
Yep, disappears. Classic Batman
disappearing act.
Yep.
We get to see David Finch doing a gorgeous one-page take on the Rebirth suit.
Yep. So good. You should really look up some of the art from Batman: The Dark Knight, which was David Finch's big New 52 Batman title that he did. There's some beautiful art in that whole thing. He gets this great one pager here. Bruce goes into the Batmobile, starts talking to Alfred. I love the Batmobile here. Just Finch's take on the Batmobile in general. It's this nice sort of mix of like, it looks kind of BTAS like.
It feels, depending on the panel, like a mix of basically every big famous pop culture Batmobile. Like, you have the BTAS influence. I'd argue you then have the Tim Burton Schumacher influence, as well as just a bit of Adam West and a bit of Nolan, all blended together in this very interesting design. I love the interplay between Bruce and Duke. Um, Duke running calculations. Bruce. So Bruce can eject from the Batmobile and fly right up to the plane.
Yep. It's so much fun. Meanwhile, Gordon is controlling things down in the street. You have this guy freaking out on the plane as all this is happening, and it's all Gotham. It's just Gotham the way it is. Gotham's terrible. You shouldn't come to Gotham. And it's and as this is happening, Bruce lands on the airplane wing.
Gordon asks, "Where are you?" "I'm on the plane." "Oh, of course, you're on the plane."
It's so great. I imagine Gordon just constantly exasperated in this first issue. He's just like, "Oh, of course, yeah, you're on the plane. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure."
Hey, wonderful. We do a slight visual reference to Nightmare at 20,000 feet.
Yep.
And we have this idea of Bruce trying to save this plane and not being able to.
Yeah, like he attaches these. I guess these are like the these like
propulsion units for remote control.
Yeah, and he's still like on the plane. There's not really a way to get off of it, so he needs to like literally manually steer the plane through a cable that's attached to it. And he needs to like keep it at a certain altitude, so he needs to stay on the plane as it's crashing, which would eventually kill him. And Bruce just kind of comes to terms with this. He's
talking to Alfred through all of this.
The last thing.
I love this entire thing. I've prepared messages for the boys in case I encountered. Regardless, they're in the safe behind the Goya code is 1048. Please distribute them and pass my regards on to Mr. Thomas.
Yep. He tells them that if Dick can teach Duke. If that now that he's going down, Dick will be a great teacher. And the last thing that Bruce says before he goes down is he just says, "Would they, mother and father, would they have been proud? Is this a good death?" Which is both. First off, doing something that King does a fair bit throughout this first arc, and I think very deliberately. It's obviously a callback to Dark Knight Returns, the whole good death thing. Is this a good death? But then there's this great twist on it, where Alfred assures him, "Yeah, sure, it's certainly a good death." And as it's happening, as the plane is about to crash into the water, the plane is picked up, and he thinks it's Clark at first. And he is met by the sight of these two new costume figures named Gotham and Gotham Girl. And that is where we end issue 1.
That's where we. Yeah.
I'm curious. I gotta know what your take was immediately finishing that first issue.
I kind of had to sit back from it because I'm like, I wasn't expecting this, and I didn't quite know how to feel. I was like, King is referencing Frank Miller quite a bit. That could get some interesting places, and but I think he immediately then assuages with Alfred, having Alfred actually respond, and King perhaps understanding the flaws of Miller's vision on Batman.
Oh, he most definitely does. He's definitely calling it out in that moment, and it's not the last time that we'll homage famous comics, not just Batman comics, throughout this first arc. Specifically, I think it's important to note there, the first thing that Bruce thought when the plane was caught, was that it was Superman. Let's keep that allegory in mind as we're continuing with Gotham and Gotham Girl as characters.
Yes.
So, all right, let's get into issue 2. I Am Gotham Part 2.
And this is one where we've flash forwarded like a little bit of time. Which I think part of that might also be. I kind of wanted the immediate follow-up to that scene, like this ending. And I kind of felt a little cold by not getting it.
I find that interesting, because I think I don't know. I can't imagine there's much of a scene to write aside from like a one-pager where Gotham and Gotham Girl try to have a conversation with Bruce and he just swings away,
Interesting, because I think Bruce would have an interesting internal monologue immediately after this. It's like, it wasn't Clark that saved me.
I think it's a bit more important to go straight to a more reflective Bruce in the second issue, personally.
Interesting.
But let's get into that. So we start off on a fight with Solomon Grundy, which is kind of fun. always fun to see Solomon Grundy. Also important to note that as we bring up Solomon Grundy and a lot of the characters that King will be using throughout this, the variant covers for the first significant chunk of the King run were done by Tim Sale, and they're all collected at the back of this volume, and
they are all gorgeous.
They're
like
so good. I think also just important to bring up because episode 50. Where do we start? It's nice.
It's nice. It's nice. Yeah. It's like poetry. It rhymes a little bit.
Yeah. We also really haven't had, I guess, a reason to bring up Tim Sale since his passing, have we? I think, did we do When in Rome before his passing?
We did When in Rome after his passing.
Oh, did we? I wasn't sure. Okay, I apologize.
I believe, but yes.
Okay.
Yes. Honestly, if I were collecting single issues, I would want the Sale variants. They are.
Yeah, I think I told you already. I have the variant of the first issue of Sale. That Sale did, and it's a great variant. I love it.
It's especially interesting because issue one had so many variant covers because it's an issue one.
Yeah, and Sales is easily the best. First off, but also Sale was like the primary variant for each issue afterwards, and it's nice. It's great.
Yes. And what's interesting is we see, but anyway, we issue proper. We see Batman coming in to take on Grundy at the last minute after Gotham and Gotham Girl, sort of failed and created some collateral. He's very, very down on Grundy. He has his literal boot on his neck. Which is a strikingly dark image. And it feels very much like Bruce doesn't quite know how to react to these new heroes. I
think also in transitioning from Snyder to King has taken the opportunity in his first arc to also tell a story about Gotham being Batman's city. Which is something similar that to what Snyder did with Court of Owls. But whereas Snyder's take on it was more Batman is this creature of the night. He is literally a part of Gotham's DNA, and he learns that there's this ancient society that's that owned Gotham long before he did. This is more about Batman has now owned his status as the superhero of Gotham, and now there are these other two, and Batman is sort of just finding his place in all that. King doesn't take it as Bruce is offended by Gotham and Gotham Girl's existence. He sees the good. He sees the good they can do.
He's also just unsure of how to react exactly to them.
Yeah,
it's very much like you are now something that I have to deal with, and I don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. It's great, and
because he it's like. He leaves them initially with, he would have trampled that man in 0.7 seconds. I've been watching you. You're good. You're doing good. Do better. Before going off. And we have this interesting sort of this idea of Batman being the master to Gotham and Gotham Girl as apprentices. Something that Bruce doesn't know how to do because all of the Robins are not metahumans in any way. Duke is, I think, technically a metahuman. Technically. And then, of course, our three Batgirls are just normal humans with interesting pasts.
Yep, especially Cass. We love her.
Especially Cass and Steph and Barbara. All three of them have kind of messed up pasts when you think about it. But that's a story for another day.
Indeed. But as Bruce is he goes back to the Batcave, he's watching over these, he's still studying Gotham and Gotham Girl, and Bruce specifically calls them the two Supermen in this scene. So King is really hammering home that idea that this is what they're meant to represent here. I don't know, can't wait to talk about that as we get towards the end of this volume. But
yes.
In the meantime, Gordon back at the GCPD is met by a man who comes in to send a little message.
He's a man from Gordon's bank. It's like, oh, and he comes in to confess to freeing Solomon Grundy, and Gordon's just like, wait, what? Oh, it's like, I put a bomb on the truck transporting Grundy to Arkham. When he was free, I took him to the statue and told him to bring it down. It's like, oh, what's your name? Take it slow, pal. What's your name? Right, of course, my name is Bob Castro. I worked on the munitions in the army, and I saw action overseas. But that's not an excuse, or it's not anything. For what happened, I mean. It's just I didn't really have a choice. You see, the monster men are coming, and he's taken out a knife and slit his throat.
Yep. And then he dies, as he says, the monster men are coming, aren't they strange? And, I love it.
I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. It is striking. But yeah, moving on. Bruce is at this, I guess.
It was Alfred asked him, there were 250 guests in the Morrison room for a benefit for the children's hospital. So Bruce Wayne is making his obligatory appearance, dancing with this woman.
He immediately leaves.
He immediately leaves
after seeing the bat signal in the sky. He goes to the Batcave, leaving Duke and Alfred there. And Gordon is met by Gotham and Gotham Girl on the top of the GCPD rooftop.
Well, Bruce is going to bring in Gotham and Gotham Girl. Also, Alfred has this response to Bruce going down to the Batcave and saying, I don't even trust Alfred. For his 10th birthday, he asked for a katana dueling blade. I got him a wakizashi, which seemed more appropriate for his age. He's been this way ever since. Alfred, throughout this book, I love the way.
It's such a good dry humor. Oh my god.
It's a very Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. And it's very... what is this bullshit I've gotten myself into for my entire life?
Oh, it's beautiful. But yeah, so Gordon is met by Gotham and Gotham Girl. Batman brings them in on this case after they're told about the guy that killed himself in Gordon's office. And I love this how this scene actually ends with Batman disappearing and Gotham Girl not being able to see where he went. Which is just, I don't know, just a funny little note to end on. You know, as powerful as they are, they still can't find Batman. But yeah.
And then we end the issue with a tease at in a prison, I believe it's Arkham Asylum, where a man is being shown pictures of himself in very different emotions. He tells his professor what the emotions that he's feeling are, and it's revealed that this professor is Professor Hugo Strange.
Yes,
working with one Amanda Waller.
Yep.
And General Sam Lane.
Yes. Yeah. Which is kind of funny because at the time of recording, My Adventures with Superman is coming out right now, and we kind of have that team up there right now too. Well, minus Hugo Strange, of course.
Minus Hugo Strange. I mean,
but also we just had a lot of Amanda Waller content recently.
She keeps turning up like a bad penny.
She does, and she's always lovely. So, anyway, moving on to Batman number 3. We open on the classic boy with his parents walking down a dark alley and being attacked by a mugger.
When I first saw this first page, I'm like, well, it took King just over 3 issues to reference the death of Bruce's parents properly on page. I'd argue that
that's a fair amount of restraint, all things considered.
I was going to say, that's a lot of restraint.
Yeah.
And it turns out, really, even more restraint, because it's not baby Bruce Wayne.
Yep. I'll let Tim Burton. It's a very similar looking couple, family, and they are saved by Batman. And
it turns out that this is baby Gotham.
Yes. And it turns out that the parents of Gotham and Gotham Girl, or as their names are, what are their names?
Hank
what are their names?
And Claire.
Hank and Claire, that's it. Thank you.
Hank and Claire Clover.
Yes. They're being interviewed by someone from the FBI, massive quotes.
So someone. Okay, so my initial thought was, is this someone working for Waller? Because this feels like it could be someone working for Waller. Well, okay, like just think about it.
I thought the match in his mouth would be a dead giveaway.
I mean, okay. Listen, I didn't get it until in the dialogue they said Mr. Malone, okay?
God damn it.
I think I'm just off my game with this one a little bit.
It seems it. It really seems it.
Usually I'm very good with these things.
Right, come on, man. But yeah, so we learned that that this caused Hank to grow up idolizing Batman, and he shared that idolization with Claire.
Claire being sort of scared at his shadow, which is interesting. But they're King and one page of this great sibling dynamic of them doing everything together and being model citizens.
Yeah, just to try to be better, to try to be like Batman, which is great. We see them like handing out food. I'm guessing a soup kitchen or something. They're in a
reading
hospital.
to people at the hospital.
And they start training. They start reading books. It says forensic evidence, and there's also an Among Us looking character on the one. It looks like
that is a magnifying glass over a blood splatter. Joey.
Look at it. It is literally the Among Us guy. Look at it. It's.
You don't need to see what I've written in my notes about that, okay?
Oh, please tell me. Is it the Among Us guy?
I will not confirm, nor deny.
Yes.
I will do neither. And we see them just as normal people working for the Red Cross overseas, or a Red Cross-esque organization with David Finch here breaking the Geneva Conventions, actually.
God damn it.
Depicting a Red Cross when you're not actually a Red Cross thing is apparently breaking the Geneva Convention.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah! Speaking of Among Us, they in one of the updates, they had to change the Red Crosses in the sick bay area to green because they were breaking the Geneva Convention.
Wow. I did not know that. Wow. Okay.
It's a whole thing.
Fuck. Anyway, but yeah, when they went overseas, they were asked to they asked their parents to send the money for something, and they came back, and all of a sudden there were Gotham and Gotham Girl flying the skies of Gotham City, and that's all Matches needs to know. Detective Matches Malone.
Malone, ma'am, Agent Malone, but most just call me Matches.
And he rips off the mustache.
So great. It's a Bruce, being a detective.
Yep.
Also, okay. Can we talk about the ridiculousness of this car?
I love this car. It's fucking beautiful. It's not any more ridiculous than the fucking tank that turned into a motorcycle in Batman Begins. Or The Dark Knight. Which one does that happen in?
I don't remember, but
Is it? No, it's The Dark Knight that it happens in.
Listen, Joey. It's still ridiculous.
Yeah,
it is a motorcycle.
Batman as a concept is ridiculous, Jingham. Come on, this is nothing. This
no, but I love it, and also the fact that it seals itself back together, so implying that there is somehow an actual functioning car in the car.
I love it.
We also see Hank and Claire being flawed, humanly flawed. Hank not being strong enough to hold up this bridge that was blown up. While Claire is trying her best to get people off the bridge into safety.
Mm-hmm. Batman comes in and it starts to hold the bridge together with gadgets.
Of course, because he's Batman.
Yeah. As this is all being watched by Hugo Strange, which is really cool. I like that. This first arc literally sets up both Night of the Monster Man and I Am Suicide, which is really nice.
Yes.
I think King balances it really well, while also telling it its own little story.
I think the story. I think this first arc goes a little quick.
It's quick, but honestly, I think it works.
I think it's a little too quick in places. Honestly, I think it might be because at this point, King was used to writing 12-issue stories, 12-issue series.
Well, and this was the first comic that he did under the exclusive contract he signed with DC. So yes. I think his reign of 12-issue miniseries started after that.
I looked into it, and he apparently before this had written just a couple of 12-issue like runs and things in general. Like, so like this feels almost like a 12-issue story compressed into 6 in places. Like
he also just King is also just a guy like who does a lot of miniseries in general, and he's very adept at telling his story in a timely manner. I think at least, but.
Yes.
Anyway,
it'll be fascinating to see what it feels like in the one shots when we do his Wonder Woman run, because that'll be an ongoing by King.
Yeah, he hasn't done an ongoing like this since Batman, oddly enough. So yeah, yes. It'll be interesting. Yeah, but let that be an advertisement. We're going to be covering Tom King's Wonder Woman soon. Or when does it come out? I forget what week it comes out. It might already be out. It comes out
in the future of this month.
In the future! We're recording this on August 30th, so I don't know. Yes. Anyway, so we saved the day.
I know it'll be out when this episode comes out. I believe it's... I want to say it's the 19th it's supposed to be out, but that could also be... That might be when Superman's out. I don't remember.
Okay. Anyway, we saved the day. And after we save the day, a building blows up across town. And Gotham and Gotham Girl go to investigate it, and they're met in this building that has exploded by Hugo Strange and his ally here, the Psycho Pirate. And that is
Master
where we end our
issue. Emotions.
Yes.
His, theirs, yours.
And I imagine you didn't know Psycho Pirate before this.
I did not.
Good. It's a very good introductory story for him, honestly. It's nice.
He's not a character created by King? He's
I don't believe so, no. As far as I know. I don't believe so.
I will say, because this is halfway through the first arc. This is where things start to shift. King
didn't create Psycho Pirate.
This is where things start to shift for this first arc as we move into issue 4. I kind of wish we got just a little bit more of Hank and Claire as siblings, like a little bit more. Because here's where like. They're confronted with Hugo Strange and Psycho Pirate, and this is where things are going to go wrong. I also find interesting, a lot of the covers are misleading, but in like a good way.
Yeah, definitely. I think it works.
They're very good. They're very good.
Because I mean, let's take this for example. Like it's Gotham falling off a building and Batman watching over it, but it's more symbolic because it's about Gotham's fall as a character.
Yes,
a fall from grace more than anything, which is cool. I think it works. But yeah, we open up. Gotham and Gotham Girl have done some things.
Something has happened.
Yep.
There are. Okay. There are 27 dead soldiers killed by someone with Superman level powers. Bruce is scared. You have Gotham Girl just repeating, "I'm scared, I'm very scared," curled up into a ball.
And meanwhile, I think this scene is so perfect. We play on All-Star Superman.
Like, my note is King homages that All-Star Superman scene, but ends it with a suicide bombing.
Yes. Which, again, I think is so fucking brilliant that King is using his homage to tell his story, I think, in a truly unique way. Because it's a scene that everybody knows. All-Star Superman has been homaged before. Deadpool homaged All-Star Superman. Like
Deadpool? I mean, that makes sense that Deadpool would do that.
This exact scene. this exact scene is the one that Deadpool homaged. It's like oh god, yeah. It's the scene from All-Star Superman where Superman stops the girl from jumping off a bridge, and Gotham does the same thing. And as he gets him to safety, the guy is holding a detonator, and he blows up the building, and the guy dies. And Gotham.
He didn't get him off the ledge. He's still on the ledge when he presses the button.
Yeah. It's man, I just. I love that. Anyway, fuck. Gotham Girl is brought back to the Batcave.
And she's screaming. Alfred is just like, coffee? Perhaps tea then?
Oh man, I love the way King writes Alfred. It's so good. I mean, like I guess technically it's not hard to write Alfred, but just when someone does it right, it's really appreciated.
No, argue Alfred's a surprisingly difficult character to write, because some people do it really well.
I will say also, Alfred becomes like one of the most important characters in the King run towards the end.
Really?
So
really?
He is fucking vital. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. Yep. So just keep an eye on what King is doing with the character as we continue to read. So
I love Duke's role here to try to give her comfort, give her a security blanket, like potentially that'll help. Like Duke reads very much as someone who has understood this sort of thing.
It's treated almost like Duke is very much a heart that the Bat family needs right now.
Yes.
Like he has a different connection with humanity that the rest of the Bat family maybe doesn't or has lost over time, perhaps.
Because I also know in Wayne Family Adventures they play him very much as he's part of the Bat family that's out during the day.
Okay, that's interesting.
Which is a very interesting sort of symbolic idea of him as the heart, because even from the Snyder run, he feels very different from the Robins.
Totally. Yeah. Which I know there was a bit of outcry when they didn't make him Robin, because it's like, oh, they didn't give us a Black Robin. It's like, okay, I understand that, but also like Snyder wasn't just setting him up to be Robin. Like he's a very different character.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a small stint as Robin would have been cool, but
we literally had that in Super Heavy though.
Yes. But like
anyway.
Yeah. So we have Gotham just with this mind of I can fix this, I can fix this, I can fix this, I can fix this. And he's essentially descended into madness, and that madness is only going to spiral from here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it spirals a little too quickly.
Yeah.
Just a little.
We also do get a fucking hilarious joke here, though. Like, one of my favorite jokes in this whole thing, after Gotham destroys the Batmobile, and Gotham flies away, Duke's like, he's like, I got something. It's a pattern. I think you need to see it. Should I send it to the car? And Batman goes, no, Mr. Thomas, you should not send it to the car. I don't know. It's fucking hilarious, I think.
I think King is very dry in general with his humor.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because to deal with it, Bruce then blows up the car, and then, okay. So, okay. This is another almost 1960s Batman.
It's a totally Adam West moment. It's
conclusions.
It's a certain number of the dog tags. They seemed random at first, but I'm gonna imagine this with Burt Ward for a moment. But I started playing with them, and there was there it was. They add up 24. All the numbers add up to 24. I cross-referenced that with your backdoors into the military databases. It refers to a unit 24. That's the letter of the unit, the 24th letter, X, Task Force X.
All I can think of is that goddamn scene. Is that scene from Batman the movie where it's let's deduce what villains are involved?
Oh yeah,
of the sea or Cohen.
Yes. Oh my god, it's so good.
And we also the Waller Batman scene that's immediately next is just great. Because we immediately go to, it's like, Amanda Waller's little suicidal squad. Let's be honest, Amanda, we don't actually have to worry about him. It's like, and even if through a miracle he found us, we are a mile below Gotham. A mile of concrete, steel vaults, and the best security the U.S. can buy or blackmail. Lane, the damn Batman is behind you. I was just like,
the fact that Sam Lane says right before that, the damn Batman isn't going to touch us. The damn Batman is behind you.
And he does get touched, and before it slammed into the Batman assaults a general in the U.S. Army.
Yep.
Respectfully.
Respectfully. As a treat.
Yeah, so Batman and Waller have a conversation.
Yeah,
and
we open on this by getting a reflection on the Snyder run.
Yes,
all the shit that Gotham's been through these past few years. Because most of the Snyder arcs are a big attack on Gotham. You know, it's not atypical for a Batman story.
Gotham gets destroyed considerably more in the Snyder run than the other Batman stories we have read.
True, yeah. Yeah, it's like Zurier, Owls, the Joker again, Bloom. You know, it's all your colorful friends. And also, first of all, I just want to note here that Killer Croc in this little montage of the villains shown here is, I believe, is meant to look like B-Task Killer Croc.
I think you're right.
Like he's kind of gray and he's got the same sort of face. I don't know. It's interesting.
Also, anyway. they gave Zaz a straight razor.
Yep. Great. Makes sense. Anyway. But yeah. They have this great conversation between Amanda and Batman. Mostly setting up Night of the Monster Man, honestly.
Yeah. Well, because it turns out Amanda Waller made a mistake of working with Hugo Strange because Hugo Strange betrayed her.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, because Hugo Strange is a doctor, she probably wasn't able to get around to put, you know, to put one of her handy bombs either on his arm or in his brain, to just blow him up like she, you know, should probably do, Waller. And, you know, she demands to know that, you know, 28 of her people are dead. Add it up, Batman. And Bruce is just shocked because it means that that Gotham has just going on a killing spree.
Mm-hmm. Because, as all good Bat family members should have, he now has dead parents. Hank and Claire's parents were killed, and Gotham has kind of gone on a rampage now as Batman goes to sort of like talk him down. Gotham flies away, and that is where we end our issue as we go into sort of technically the finale of I Am Gotham. This is
well, the idea is also is that, you know, Gotham can't be fixed, so he's just going to burn it all to the ground.
Yep.
So this is
a natural conclusion.
A nihilistic conclusion.
But yeah, let's go into Batman number 5. So here we go. Gotham's still on a rampage. I adore the opening of this, the Alfred sequence here. I gotta read it straight.
Before we get to that, I would like to note that Gotham has these red eyes, like evil Superman eyes.
Yep. King knows what he's doing. King knows what he's fucking doing. But yeah, so
has King ever written for Superman proper?
I know there's a miniseries that I haven't read. That I know the one scene from it's the scene that like everybody knows about. There's this great scene where a kid like asks Superman who would win in a fight between him and Batman, and Superman says that Batman would win because he'd let him.
Oh, that's adorable.
It's so good. That's the only scene I know from it because it's one of those ones that gets shared around on Twitter a lot. But I do have to read the mini. I forget what it's called. But anyway, so beautiful sequence that opens this. Alfred gets in the Batmobile, dressed as Batman, and this is the dialogue.
Does not fit him at all. Like it's hanging off him.
I have to read the dialogue though. Here we go. Well, Thomas, allow me to first say what an honor it has been to be asked, for you personally to entrust me the care of Master Bruce. Well, sir, I am humbled. But of course, the need for such care will never arise. It is not as if on some dark night you are to go you are just going to walk down Crime Alley with Martha in her best pearls. That would be absurd. But if such unlikely circumstances were tragically to come to pass, allow me to assure you that it will not be a difficult burden to bear. Bruce is such a good boy, sir, as well you know. Quiet and calm and still compassionate and curious. Caring for him will be more a pleasure than a chore, sir. A life of mild days reading books, tranquil nights playing board games, perhaps a charity ball every now and then.
As he's increasing the Batmobile speed,
he rams it into Gotham. Yeah. Oh my god. It's just, it's so perfect. I love it. One of my favorite Alfred moments. Like,
and then Alfred gets out of the car. He gets out of the car and he's like, "Fear not, citizens of Gotham, the Dark Knight has returned."
He tries to convince Gotham that he's Batman for like 5 seconds before he runs away.
It's like, "What? Who are you?" "I'm Batman." No, you're just a man in a mask.
It's another one.
And what is that? Yes, well, Alfred, I'm here. Oh, thank God.
It's another one of those beautiful moments from New Batman Adventures where like Barbara finds out about everything and Alfred comes in and he's like, "Hi, so you found out our little secret." "Yes, I admit it. I'm Batman." It's just like, oh, I fucking love it. Alfred Pennyworth, you king. Anyway, so Batman arrives. We begin our fight between Batman and Gotham. As this is happening, Duke and Claire are watching the action. Batman is trying to find out what could stop Gotham and Gotham Girl. He tries everything from, mostly just slamming different gadgets into Gotham to no avail because Gotham is basically Superman. As all this is happening, we figure out what is happening with the Gotham and Gotham Girl's powers, and that is that they were sent their money to have basically an operation that gave them Superman's powers. The trade-up being that the powers would slowly kill you depending on how much you had. So if you have powers for this amount of time, you die like twice as fast or whatever. So Gotham is basically supercharged right now. He is going to die instantly, pretty much, within mere minutes because he is so overloaded on these artificial powers.
Yes. While this is all happening, there's some very nice interplay between Duke and Claire in the Batcave. I will say one of my complaints with Claire is that, again, King made her too scared too fast. And that's kind of a lot of what she does up until this issue right at the end. But it's also, I am glad that later on it's clear that King has some sort of a plan for this character to continue in his run.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I mean,
yes.
Hell, I Am Suicide is entirely about Gotham Girl and what happens to her at the end here. So it's but anyway, Batman is in the middle of fighting Gotham. It gets an assist from the Justice League, the early Rebirth Justice League, which I just love that lineup. Look at that fucking lineup.
It's a cool lineup. So we have the classics of Bruce,
Batman,
Clark,
Superman,
and Diana.
Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg's there, and we have 2 Green Lanterns on this team, which
we also have Aquaman.
We do. We do. Right, yeah. But you have both Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz back there, which is really nice. It was one of my favorite things about that early Rebirth Justice League run, despite the fact that I don't love that run. But I always love the fact that it had both Simon and Jessica on the team. And
yes,
love them.
And I'm guessing the Flash is still Barry at this point.
Yeah, still Barry. Yep.
Because Wally's not back yet.
Wally was back, actually. That was the whole premise of DC Universe Rebirth #1. Was the return of Wally West, which we should actually do a one shot on someday.
Just the Rebirth one shot.
It's a nice one shot, and it kind of sets up a couple big arcs for Rebirth. Mostly the whole Doomsday Clock thing Jeff Johns was doing. But also something important for Tom King's run that we're coming up on, I think, in the 2nd volume of Rebirth Deluxe Edition. And so we should do that someday. Anyway, that's all my point was. Anyway, Gotham fights off. It begins fighting off the Justice League, but also it's the Justice League, but also Gotham has Superman times 10 powers is the point. And in beautiful, true Death of Superman homage that Tom King is doing here. The starting from like the 3rd to last page, I think, the panels become less and less as it gets towards the end, which I think is nice.
I think the colors become very Death of Superman-esque.
Yeah. As Gotham Girl comes in to try to save her brother and stop him in his rampage, and as she grabs him and they slam him to the ground one last time, we literally end the story on a Death of Superman homage with Gotham Girl holding Gotham's dead body, Death of Superman style, Lois and Clark. It's great.
Yeah,
and
with this interesting narration of remember that this is where it started, the origin of Gotham Girl, the death of Batman, which is an interesting way to lead into number 6.
Yes, which is the epilogue to I Am Gotham. I forget who this was drawn by. This is Ivan Reis is on this one. Ivan
Reis is a guest penciler. And with him, Joe Prado, Claire Albert, and Scott Hanna on inks, and Marcelo Maiolo On Colors? I believe that's how you pronounce that.
I think so. I'm not even going to try.
Yes.
If Star Trek has taught me anything, I shouldn't try to pronounce things.
if Wonder Woman has taught you anything, you shouldn't try to pronounce Greek things.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, so Claire's having a problem.
She's this is one where this is an issue that takes place over the course of a week, starting on Monday, will end on Sunday, and Claire is losing it, understandably so.
Yep.
She's consistently just talking to Hank throughout all of this. Like, the first thing we have is her chopping off her hair, telling a joke about why don't you ever see Batman hiding in trees? Because he's so good at it.
Which is, I don't know, I find that fucking funny. I don't know. Anyway, then we get into Tuesday, which is starting off, well, I guess really continuing with, if you're counting Psycho Pirate, but one of Tom King's favorite traditions of just using ridiculously obscure DC characters from like the Golden Age
and the Silver Age. This is Colonel Blimp.
Yep. Oh, I love it.
I want this to be a World War II time Batman character, please.
Oh man. But yeah, so Gotham Girl comes in, she stops Colonel Blimp, and so once again, still talking to Hank, the imaginary dead Hank, as she does so.
And it's a ramble. This issue is a ramble, and I mean that in like a good way.
Oh yeah,
it really gets you into the mind of just this broken woman who's mentally already under mind control, and has just lost her brother.
Yeah.
And it turns out she's going out against sort of Batman's best wishes.
Because she's still using her powers and it's still going to slowly kill her. Obviously not as fast as it did Hank, but it'll get there eventually. As Duke and Alfred continue to watch her, we go into Thursday then eventually as Claire looks out over the city, then into Friday, where she's stopping another villain, Captain Stingery. Who has this guy that's gone insane and believes that like all of his friends are Batman and he's walking them off of a tall building. It's really funny. I don't know. But yeah, Gotham Girl saves them, and Batman arrives, and we get this really, really sad scene between the two of them where you get the feeling that Batman is actually starting to get through to Claire, but instead responds to him by like still talking to dead Hank and saying like, Hank, it's Batman. Like, can you believe it? And then they part ways and go into Saturday.
It shows just this real vulnerability through all of it. It's like, and it's and he has to ask.
Oh yeah, get another beautiful Alfred moment.
He has to ask Alfred, when it happened, Mother and Father, how did you help me? Master Bruce, with all due respect, each night you leave this perfectly lovely house and go leaping off buildings dressed as a giant bat. Do you really think I helped you?
Oh man!
And then it's the boy.
It's time. Here's the thing, Jacob. I think I forget. Did you know that Tom King is the guy that made Kite Man a meme?
Yes, because of Antonio.
Antonio?
Yeah, because Antonio loves Kite Man.
Huh. Has he read the Tom King run?
I don't know. I just know he unironically loves Kite Man.
As he should. Kite Man's a king. Kite Man, hell yeah. It's great.
I am reading Kite Man's dialogue in what's his name? Matt Oberg? Matt Oberg, I think, is who it is. In the Harley Quinn show. That voice.
Yep. It's great. Love him. But yeah, we stop Kite Man. And Batman then lights up the bat signal, and Claire goes to see him. And they have just this sort of last conversation that just fucking hurts. I love it.
He gets to her first by calling her Claire, then taking off the mask, and giving him his backstory. And he closes it with this. It's like, but I just started. I talked even with the blood, the sirens. I talked. I talked to her. I had to. I still have to. And
it ends in just Claire breaking down, saying that she misses him. She misses Hank, and Ivan Reese crushes it as he always does. Just really portraying the grief and emotion on her face, and I love it. And then we end off issue 6 with another conversation between Batman and Amanda Waller,
where it turns out that Strange made a deal to cause these disasters to gain control of Psycho Pirate, and then exchange the pirate for significant quantities of venom.
Yep.
So Psycho Pirate is in Santa Prisca, where Bane is behind all of this.
Yep. And as Batman decides he needs to go to Santa Prisca to get Psycho Pirate, and Amanda Waller says, "Well, isn't it nice then that I have a way to do it? Because, but I have to admit, the plan's fairly risky. You go, you probably don't come back. One might even say it's suicide."
I'm reminded that this is in 2016, so
there was a big Suicide Squad push. Yeah,
David Ayer's Suicide Squad is coming out.
It's not David Ayer's Suicide Squad, but sure.
Fine. The hack job version of David Ayer's Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Still directed, still using all footage that David Ayer shot.
Yeah. But it can make or break a film. But anyway, it's and I will say on that note, the actual Suicide Squad Rebirth run was so good.
Is that the one Tom Taylor did?
No. That's Rob Williams and Jim Lee.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Jim Lee. I think
Jim Lee did the first 10 issues of that run. Yeah.
Was it because of the movie?
Yeah.
Definitely because of the movie.
Oh, most definitely. The lineup was Harley, Deadshot, Boomerang, Killer Croc, Enchantress, Katana. That was
because of the movie.
Yeah, it was definitely because of the movie. But it was a very good run, actually. I did enjoy it. Had Zod in it at one point.
Many runs, so little time. Move on before we get totally sidetracked.
Yeah. All right.
Night of the Monster Men.
Night of the Monster Men, which is this beautiful homage to just kind of B-movie horror.
B-movie Japanese tokusatsu, which is the giant kaiju films.
Yep.
A lot of reference points that I'm going to be honest, I don't get because I've never actually seen a kaiju film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm going to rectify that, I think, this October. Godzilla's on my sort of spooky season watch list this year.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Good shot. Anyway, but let's get into this. This is Batman number 7. So, as we mentioned before, this is Steve Orlando on the scripts, but Tom King did help out on the plot for this first issue.
Yes.
Steve Orlando is sort of the mastermind behind this whole 6-part crossover event here. So we open on this first off, just this great sequence in a morgue.
Terrifying.
We get our first hint as to how the monsters are going to be. But yes, the arts. This first issue is the Batman issues are drawn by Riley Rossmo.
The Nightwing issues are done by Raj Antonio, and the detective issues are Andy McDonald.
So they're all great artists, honestly. They all fit the style very well.
But also all very unique styles.
Yeah, they don't perfectly blend into each other, but I don't think I'd want them to either.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that this crossover actually does really well is that none of the 3 books, from an outsider who's only really read one of the books, because obviously we haven't read Tinian's Detective Comics or Seeley's Nightwing, they still have that identity. King isn't writing this, but there's still sort of a Tom King vibe.
Yeah. As Tom King would say, a lot of sad people looking out of windows. That
does seem to happen a lot.
It does. That's his own joke about his work. It's just all a lot of sad people looking out windows, and it's great. But anyway, we get into this. We see our 3 leads: Batman, Batwoman, and Nightwing.
We find out a hurricane is coming to Gotham.
Yes.
And And this is
I don't know. I don't know. I guess Bruce, Dick, and Kate are going to do something about it.
I think the idea is that they are going to help with the evacuation. I think that's the initial plan.
Yeah. Then we get some naked Hugo Strange, because that's
also
essential.
we find out important piece of note.
Yes.
Tim Drake is dead.
Tim Drake is currently dead. Yes. That was James Tynion's first thing he did. He was like, I'm killing Tim Drake. And I mean, it's a comic book death. He had a plan already to bring him back, but still, it's what he did. Anyway,
so there's a lot of dialogue about like where the Bat family is. This is my first proper Kate Kane content.
That's true. That's true.
And she is very fun. I didn't mention it in the questions, but maybe the New 52 Batwoman run should be on there by
See, I think I would probably sooner throw you James Tynion's detective, because she's pretty much the main character in that.
Okay. Well, something with Kate Kane.
Yeah.
And then we have naked weightlifting Hugo Strange.
Yeah, as it's essential. It is essential storytelling.
I should say naked ripped.
Yeah,
Hugo Strange. Which is it's a very weird thing. He presses a button on his watch. He's also still wearing his glasses.
Yep.
Which is funny. And it is time to start. I'm imagining John Rhys-Davies as Hugo Strange.
Are you really?
For some reason.
I think you should actually play Arkham City, so you have Corey Burton Hugo Strange in your head, my friend.
This is true. Well, it's going to happen soon, because
Corey Burton Hugo Strange is fucking perfect, my guy. Anyway,
he presses a button. It is time to start, and these four bodies just start to bubble with blood. And this is Batman's final night.
Yep. We then get a look at the at more of the evacuation crew on the city. We have Cass, Steph, and Clayface, who you were unaware before I told you that we were reading this, that Clayface was part of the Detective Comics team at the time. A reformed Basil Carlo was part of the team. And what did you think of this take on the character?
I really liked it. Like, I think it's a very interesting.
The fucking heart and soul of Tynion's detective. I
think it's very much beautiful. A reflection on like the fact that, let's be honest, some of the Batman villains, this may be somewhat controversial, but they're a bit goofy.
Yeah.
And like their reasons for crime can be dumb.
Yep.
So actually humanizing this clay monster, especially since the original Golden Age Clayface wasn't an actual shape-shifting clay monster initially.
I will always recommend, like, the best Clayface thing I've ever read is the first annual in Tynion's Detective. He redoes Carlo's origin in that, and it's fucking beautiful. It's like so fucking good.
But anyway. Like that family's on call because there's a hurricane, and I like this idea of if Bruce is Gotham, when there's like a natural disaster, that it's not like there isn't a villain. Well, there is a villain to fight, obviously, but like helping out with an evacuation is just kind of a great use of the Bat family.
Yeah.
Of course, that's
nice way to get everyone together for your crossover event, and then have the threat show itself. I think it's really smart. Clayface turns into a bunch of police officers that help to evacuate the city, which I think is cool. And then a building explodes, and look, I've never not been able to separate myself with these monsters. I always thought they looked like some twisted concept art version of The Last of Us zombies. Have you ever seen them? I don't know if you actually have.
I have actually, and I can see it.
Yeah, okay.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I also think some of the monsters we get later are specific, might be more Godzilla inspired. I think you know which two I'm talking about.
Are you thinking specifically of the Nightwing one?
Yes.
Yeah, and is it the Gotham Girl one?
Yeah, it's the two of. It's the two characters who aren't just there to be monsters, because like these were people, and there's a good attempt made to underpin that these were still people.
Yeah, but also they came from a morgue, so they're also dead people.
They're also dead. it's later revealed that they're the victims of all the suicide attacks from the first volume of Batman. They're all the people who did the suicide bombings and the guy that slit his throat in Gordon's office.
Mm-hmm.
But like, this is Steve Orlando having the time of his life doing a monster movie B movie.
Oh
so
yeah, it's like I remember just all the advertising for it was just like Steve Orlando doing a shit ton of interviews where he was like, yeah, this is just what I've always wanted to write, just simple as like I just had a lot of fun with it. It was great. It was a great time.
There isn't an attempt to really humanize these monsters. They are giant monsters.
Yeah, throw some giant monsters in there, make them look gross and cheesy, and you got a good story.
Let's do some fun character interactions. Because Bruce is still reeling from the death of Tim. He's almost lost Gotham Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And Kate criticizes him at Batman. You're running off without proper recon. Do you even know how to fight monsters? Of course, Kate. I've been doing it my entire life.
And yeah, the fight begins. We start taking on this monster. This first one that emerges as the rest of the Bat family starts evacuating people that are in the vicinity of the monster. I like this like jetpack Batwing thing that Bruce has on for this whole sequence. It's cool.
That was developed by one John Henry Irons.
Yep.
Of course, because this is a monster movie. Bullets won't stop them.
Yeah.
These things won't stop them. So Bruce tries a bunch of things. This issue is very much focused on Bruce in particular.
Yeah. Whereas I think a lot of the other crossovers in this, a lot of the other issues in this crossover, like do a better job of splitting up the time between our characters.
Yes, I really like Stephen Cass's plot. They're with the one detective, Harvey Bullock.
Yep. And also just Steph is very angsty because she has just recently lost her boyfriend.
Yes.
So yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. I'm also just realizing I totally forgot that Riley Rossmo is the same artist that did that Tim Drake Robin series recently.
Really?
Yeah. You wouldn't know it, but the faces gave it away. I was like, you know what? The faces. I had to make sure. I was like, yep, it's the same artist.
But it works so well here, and
it does. I don't know why it's so different. I mean, like it's not like different, but like
it doesn't work there.
Yeah,
but it works here. Interesting.
Weird. Yeah. Anyway, wow.
I like the exaggerations that Rossmo does. Like,
yeah.
They're generally great. Like, because we flash back to the security footage of the guy, slitting his throat. We're seeing that scene played out from security footage, and the way the Rossmo makes this guy look, kind of like a Men in Black, like this elongated figure, almost like a Silence from Doctor Who, even though like he's supposed to just be a human there, and it's effective for like this story. It's also just, a lot of exposition in this first issue. To catch everybody up who may have not been reading Batman, may have not been reading Detective, may have not been reading Nightwing.
I would say it was helpful for me at the time because I was only reading Batman and Detective at the time. But honestly, now that I've read Tim Seeley's Nightwing, like there's nothing to really connect. Seeley was 4 issues in. He wasn't really doing much beyond like he was actually doing. I mean, it was cool. He was developing on the whole Dick being kicked into the Court of Owls thing with a character called Cobra, I believe. I think that was the character. So anyway,
but we have the issue on another monster.
Yeah, we unleash our second monster on Gotham here, and I love this one. I don't know. I like that. I like everything about it. I don't know. It's probably one of my favorite designs here.
It's a cool design.
Yeah. But yeah, that ends off Batman number 7. This brings us into. Are we on Detective now?
This is Nightwing.
Nightwing. That's right. Nightwing number 5. Yes. Sorry.
I did look at the wiki page so I could write these issues properly in my notes.
See, here's the thing, though. What I did for my reread and what I'm doing right now, and I probably shouldn't have, is
no, you have 3 books in front of you, don't you?
No. I still have the deluxe edition. It's just the 2 books, but it's I was looking at the Batman issues from the main deluxe edition, so I had to open up Night of the Monster Man right now just to get to Nightwing number 5. So
I made the switch in between 6 and 7.
Small brain move on my part, but anyway, so all right, here we go. Nightwing number 5. We open with Duke and Claire in the Batcave, and they're watching over the chaos that is ensuing around them.
Duke is once again sort of just this calming voice on Claire, who's in this nice big Robin jacket.
Yeah. Is that didn't he have that? Wasn't that his jacket from Super Heavy?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know if they're trying to imply some sort of big relationship between the characters, but there's definitely a Duke is caring about Claire and her mental well-being.
I wouldn't say it's a romantic relationship.
It's not.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, the new monster is unleashed, and we do our best to crowd control, and Duke finally convinces Batman to use this system that Batman didn't want to use. That he literally put projectors with holograms of himself into the street lamps of Gotham City to tell everyone that it's going to be okay and what to do and how to evacuate.
Called the Bat Beacon. I think it's a fascinating comment on Batman's sort of. So Batman has an issue with authority, right? The only reason Batman works with the GCPD in the past is he doesn't work with the GCPD. He works with Gordon, individual, the one good guy in the GCPD. And King's already set up the run as a very rocky place, and I hope he keeps this sort of rocky footing. He doesn't quite do it in the next 2 arcs. As much because
because the one isn't in Gotham.
It's we're not in Gotham. We're not dealing with the GCPD.
Yeah.
So that's a future Tom King thing to be watching out for.
Yeah. And also just the whole projector thing with the warning on it just feels very Snyder for some reason.
It's the tech. It's the blue tech.
Yeah, I don't know. That's so interesting for a run that in my mind I always associate with this is horror Batman. It's the tech Batman really.
It's Scott Snyder loves horror, but also Batman is a tech nerd, and I wanted to use a bunch of weird tech.
And this just kind of perfectly fits that. And again, King does a great job of just nailing those ideas. Just of continue knowing that he's going on from a very popular run, so he is sort of just continuing that idea, even though it's definitely a different style from Snyder.
Then go back to where the state park where the evacuation is taking place. What I find fascinating is that Cass hasn't had any dialogue, and Cass is a character.
Oh yeah, that's something you don't know. So Cass was pretty much mute when she was first reintroduced into continuity post New 52.
Right.
So yeah. So without spoiling much, because I do want to cover it eventually. It was in a series called Batman and Robin Eternal.
One of the weekly.
One of the weeklies. Yeah. So yeah, Cass was reintroduced into that. That was her introduction into the post New 52, post Flashpoint continuity. This might be controversial. I don't know if it is. I actually prefer her newer origin. She was basically introduced as a mute, and she is sort of developing from that still at this point. She mostly just spoken 1 or 2 word sentences at this point. So,
but there's a lot of character with her.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially as the silent guardian she is in this first scene here. It really works. So, anyway. Yeah, they're doing crowd control with Bullock. We go back over, watch Batman try to take on this thing. And Nightwing joins the fray as he saves this guy from being attacked by the monster. And we start. Kate and Bruce start distracting the monster with these flares, a la Jurassic Park, and they start like leading it away from people in the city. Meanwhile, back in the Batcave, Alfred and Duke are doing some research. Let's see. Bruce is throwing. What did he? Oh yeah, he tries to like attach like the monster to a building with this giant net. It's not gonna work. It's a fucking net. And let's see.
And Dick is heading. Dick is trying to head to the to the morgue where it seems these these two monsters have come from.
Mm-hmm.
While in the evacuation, chaos starts to break out. Like everyone's gonna let into these caves because there's still a hurricane coming. And it's like, right, we need to keep everyone dry. This red blood-like liquid has been dripping down on them, and they are becoming agitated. And so now we will have a mob that's slowly brewing. Meanwhile, Dick makes it to the morgue where
he sees the 4 bodies missing.
But there are only 2 monsters.
Yep.
One of them has some sort of larval sex. One is underground. Turns out that one of the orderlies in charge of the morgue has connections to the Cobra cult that preyed on federal prisoners. Cobra being sort of this organization that's been underpinning a lot of the King run so far, and as I'm guessing those couple issues of Seeley's Nightwing that have had that were at this point.
Yeah, that was mostly where the whole Cobra thing went. Was in Seeley's Nightwing.
And we find at Blackgate Penitentiary, giant spider monster.
Yep. Oh, I love it. It looks so cool. As our 3rd monster is unleashed, Nightwing quickly rushes over to the penitentiary as Gotham Girl is inclined to make her way there as well. She takes off the jacket and gets into full Gotham Girl regalia and gets to the penitentiary before Nightwing does. And that is where issue 2 of the crossover leaves off, going into Detective Comics 941. I love Andy McDonald's art here specifically. It's so good.
It's very, very good. I love the cover by Yannick Paquette.
Well. They do all the covers for all 6 parts, and it's nice. It's very nice.
This time we open focusing on Kate. Kate being our main character of Detective Comics. While we do some very quick flashes on where our other characters are. And Tinian and Orlando are very, very good at balancing all these characters because this is because
Tinian was already on a team book at the time with detectives, so it helped. I think that definitely helped him in plotting out this issue in particular.
Yeah, and it's something that the 2 detective issues of the story do well. Very well. So we have Dick nearly getting to Blackgate, Gotham Girl being asked to return to the cave, Clayface clearing neighborhoods, but he's starting to spread himself a bit thin. Duke and Alfred are trying to isolate the energy source of these monster men.
Yep.
And they're making some progress. And in the cave, there's the riot, there's the mob happening. But then this little child gets pushed over.
Yeah. And
who's lost his parents, and that's enough to really start the fighting.
Yeah, and you see like Cass immediately spring into action. She like jumps down into that crowd. I love that moment for her. Then we go over to Blackgate Penitentiary, where Nightwing and Gotham Girl have arrived and are trying to stop the riot there.
As the spider monster seems to have spider rock baby things.
Yep. They're beautiful. Then Kate is still trying to lead the big monster away from the people here, as Clayface is seeming to have a hard time like splitting himself into so many people here.
But still haven't taken the time to save people.
Yeah. Yep. Steph and Cass are still are trying to stop the riot in the middle of the cave here. Just a great sequence. Probably one of my favorites here, actually, in this issue. Then Bruce arrives, or no, is he? No, he doesn't arrive there, but he's still leading the other monster away. But yeah, then Steph traps all these rioters in the cave through a net. So I don't know, just a fun little moment. Yeah, everyone's just kind of going insane in the cave there.
They realize that sort of this sludge that's been covering them smells like fresh cut grass. And grass is similar to algae. So the idea is, all right, well, if we burn it, maybe it'll stop the riot. Meanwhile, at Blackgate, Claire is just having a time.
Just destroying the little monster babies. As Nightwing is trying to fight them off. And Claire fucking just destroys some of these guys, and it clearly is just like meant to be like an unsettling moment. She comes across the bigger spider monster, and she destroys that one as well. Rips off its arms, rips it into shreds. Nightwing is disgusted by this, and as she rips it apart, the blood gets all over her and Nightwing, and causing them to start to transform. And as this is happening, we see also that because of the storm, a lot of their communications are being interrupted. So a lot of the Bat family can't communicate with each other at this time. And we end the issue with Dick and Claire having fully transformed into full-on kaijus, and it's beautiful.
It's giant with a very isolated Kate Kane. Nightwing, Gotham Girl. Is anyone left out there?
Yep.
And mind you, this is the halfway point of the crossover. Like, this is very light on plot. Like,
oh, most definitely, yeah. It's big bloody B-movie monster shit. I love it. Like, it's not really doing much, and it is, I will admit, just like a little monotonous. Like, okay, it's like, okay, new monster arrives, this happens, new monster arrived, evacuation, whatever. I think the transformation of Dick and Claire is probably like the first big wrench that Orlando throws into the plot of it.
Yes.
But otherwise, like, it's not doing too much, but it is fun. It's a fun time, and I think it's the pacing that really saves it. It's really fun to read. So
yes.
Getting into part 4. This is Batman number 8. Yes. I am going to play it risky again. I'm going to switch back over to the deluxe edition. So
that is very risky.
The pictures are bigger. I just like the bigger.
I know the pictures are bigger.
I just like the bigger pictures, Jacob.
I know you like the bigger pictures, but it's just. I mean, at least okay, you have.
There we go. This time I'm ready. I have Nightwing number 6 prepared in the smaller trade.
At least it's not like you're reading from the Batman book, a Detective Comics book, and
it's true. I could pull out all my single issues. I have all the singles of these, so. But yeah, no, I'm prepared this time. So
yeah, so this time we open up with Bruce, still fighting this Hydra monster with Kate.
Actually, quick note before we get into this. Can we talk about the absolute ass way that these deluxe editions collect this crossover event? It's just like, here's Batman number 7 and 8, and if you want more, get a completely different book, even though this is a deluxe edition. Like, they literally say that. Like, if you want the whole story, get this book. Like,
I mean,
oh my god.
I get it, because that would make... Adding this in would make it basically a small omni, right? Like...
Yeah.
It would add another nearly 200 pages.
What if you just cut rooftops, though, from this deluxe edition?
That could work.
And then you ended on 13 instead.
That could work, but I think it's because
because they're going by the way that the trades were collected, I believe.
Yeah, they wanted the 2 trades, and I know that trade has rooftops.
It goes with rooftops, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, actually getting into it. Sorry about that. I just want a little tangent. Anyway, but yeah, we see what all the rest of the family is up to. Bruce and Batwoman still doing their thing. Steph and Cass is running away from their crazed mob now. Dick and Claire completely transformed. Duke and Alfred in the cave.
We find out. So it turns out that somehow we also find out that these monster cells are driven by a super steroid that has a similar structure to Venom, tying us back into what was revealed at the end of Batman #6, involving Strange having Venom, and then of course potentially Waller's future mission. So this is all comes down to Strange and potentially Bane, which Bruce makes out as the monster just picks him up and starts making him fly away.
Yep.
And Kate had a plan. The plan's in their friend's mouth.
Yep. And at this moment, Dick and Claire arrive, and Kate and Bruce quickly realize the situation they're in.
We found Nightwing and Gotham Girl, and 2 more monsters added to the mix.
Yep.
I love the back and forth between Bruce and Kate, though. It's very cousins taking jabs at each other.
Yeah. That was another great thing that Tinian did with Bruce and Kate's relationship in Detective is really did a great job like exploring their familial dynamic. In fact, one of the big villains in Tinian's Detective was Kate's father.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fucking beautiful. I love it. Anyway, we really got to read that run someday. Fuck.
Yes.
Anyway, so many runs at so little time, as you said.
Yeah. But this is the time where things start to turn. Bruce realizes that because of the chemical that is in a suspension that is superconductive, so they can electrocute the monsters.
We get another look at Steph and Cass running away from their mob. They get up onto a ledge where they're able to get away from them for the time being.
With more players. Now we have to deal with Gotham Girl and Nightwing as monsters.
Duke then takes it upon himself to put on the Signal costume and actually go out into the field. As Bruce comes up against Claire in the streets, delivers this really nice speech to her, as all the people standing around Batman begin to form a Clayface mech suit.
Again,
beautiful.
I think this is just Steve Orlando loves kaiju movies.
Yeah, and so he turned Batman into his own little dirt kaiju, and had him fight Claire also as a kaiju, and it's really fun. It's really really fun. Bruce and Basil together as a unit get their ass handed to them though, as the Signal arrives. Bruce pissed that Duke left the cave.
Duke also has a plan. He has the cure in his hands. So he can get them all out of this. In the caves, Steph and Cass have had their plan of planting a bunch of flares and flood the cave with light, which burns up all the algae. So the mob calms down as it dissipates. And they have to ask, if this mob's asking, is it over? It's not over.
And we learn that it is far from over as the 4th and final monster arrives. It is this Grim Reaper looking motherfucker. It's really fun. I love this one. I love them all. They all have really fun designs. This one's great. It's the most simplistic of the 6 main monsters. But anyway, so Duke arrives back in the streets here with Bruce. It gets Claire with the cure, which turns Claire back into regular Claire.
Regular broken Claire.
Yep.
While Kate is
fighting Nightwing in the air. I love that Nightwing's monster grew wings. I love that. I think it's really fun.
Yes.
Kate is fighting him. Nightwing throws her out through the air as she's falling, and that's her big cliffhanger for.
I love her final line of Batwoman to all points. I'm wounded in freefall. Everyone listening, time to ruck up. Here's the plan. I was like, Kate, you are falling to your potential death. How
She's
could
so
you
good.
possibly
She's
have
so
a plan?
good. Oh man, seriously, Kate is just one of those underrated Bat Family members. I fucking love her so much.
So we are now in Nightwing number 6.
Yes.
With Gotham Girl Monster on the cover, despite no longer being a thing.
Whatever. It's all right.
Yeah.
You got to capitalize on the fact that you have Kaiju Gotham Girl. So
yes,
whatever. But yeah, so Nightwing is still soaring in the skies as a monster, and
he gives out a Doomsday style woman.
True.
No vowels.
That's how you know he's a monster. That's it right there.
Big red letters and no vowels.
Yep. Batwoman grapples onto the Nightwing monster and uses him to swing through the city as Gotham Girl and the Signal watch from below. And Batwoman, Kate being the badass that she is, just uses her grapple to completely swing around and tie up the Nightwing monster and get him onto the ground. It's fucking brilliant. I love her. Anyway, Gotham Girl then also does she inject the cure into him? Right? Yeah.
She injects it, but also it slashes out some of the venom blood, so he's slowly transforming back. Where it's like, well. Anything else I missed? Because this could have ended very badly.
Yeah. And so, was it three of our 6 monsters dealt with now? As our big Grim Reaper bastard roams the streets. We still have the other 2 out there, right? Though, or are they gone? Were they defeated?
One of them's gone.
The bubbly one.
Yeah.
The bubbly one's gone. Okay. So where'd the feathery one go?
I think that one might also be gone.
How did that one go?
I think Bruce took care of that one.
Okay, I'm sure he did. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, Grim Reaper Man's coming towards the city. And he begins tearing down buildings and shit, because, monster and all that.
Because I want to do a Godzilla comic, damn it.
Yes, damn it. It's fun. It's fun. Let it be fun.
It is fun. It is fun. I just don't have the complete cultural point of reference for a lot of this.
So you've never seen any Godzilla movies? No, not even the American ones or anything?
Nope.
Wow, okay.
Absolutely none.
That is surprising. Wow. All right. No, it's not. Anyway.
I was going to say, you know me and my track record with movies.
Yeah, okay. I had a big Godzilla phase as a kid. Like, massive Godzilla phase as a kid. I had so many.
But Steph makes her way to Dick and Gotham Girl so they can take out some tech and start looking into Strange's formula, and we can get the idea of, we find out these are all Strange's former patients.
Yep.
That he used, essentially, it's implied that he used Psycho Pirate. And
he specifically chose these ones because of different traumas that they were getting over. So
one of them is a child.
Yep. We use manipulation, fear, grief, and a child. And basically the idea is, not to spoil it or anything, but you can put it together like immediately that they're all meant to be like things that Strange sees within Bruce Wayne, which is a cool idea. I just like that he used those those people specifically because of what they represent in Batman. It's nice.
So Bruce gets this information and it's like, right, we need to activate the Wayne watchtowers. So a giant light floods the city with light because that worked for
once again, beautiful Scott Snyder shit.
Yes. And then, so our Grim Reaper plant monster goes down. It also turns out that this program is continually updating. So, so Strange connects all 4 monsters into a giant mega monster.
It's so cool. It's so cool. I love it. And it grew horns, so it looks kind of like Batman. It's fun.
So, because of this, the Bat family has to pilot the Wayne watchtowers.
It's so good. It's so good.
Before we then end the issue on probably the most ridiculous thing.
So it's not the most ridiculous thing. This is an old idea, actually, that they're reutilizing in this. That Hugo Strange. The idea with his character is that he was always obsessed with Batman. That he always wanted to become Batman. That he used Bruce's identity not just because he was a Batman villain and he wanted to like figure out who Bruce Wayne was, but so that he could be more like him and become Batman. Yeah, you can find a bunch of like old panels of like Hugo Strange. He's always had his own bat suit that he keeps with him. Yeah,
so
cool idea.
He's dressed in a bat suit, and that's where we end the issue.
Yes, and that goes into Detective Comics 942, which is the end of Night of the Monster Men, and it's fun. But the last issue is a little messy.
It's very messy.
Yeah, it's fun. Come on. I mean, how can you not look at pages 2 and 3 of this issue and just see, and not just kind of fall in love in this weird, messy story that Orlando has created?
Yes.
I don't know. It's great.
So we have Kate, Steph, Cass, and Dick,
and they become Power Rangers, basically.
Yes. That's what this becomes.
That's what it is. Yeah, they literally put the towers together and they become a fucking mech suit so they can fight the giant fucking monster. And it's
ridiculous. All while Bruce is going to confront Strange, who is, I've been sending out all the signals. And he wants to go, get to see what makes Batman tick. The batsuit he's in is a suit rigged to blow up if he takes any blow greater than a footfall.
Yep. I also just like that his throne is a literal chair made out of psychology books.
A lot of psychology books. After this, go back to the actual giant mech fight.
Yep. The towers are shooting at the giant monster. And then I knew reading this, I was like, this isn't going to be one of those stories that just sounds stupid to describe out loud on the podcast.
But it's like, it's not bad. Like, it's a solid 7 out of 10 story.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good time. It's a really good time.
It's just not that deep, bro.
Yeah. Nightwing does his
gets out of his watchtower. It has to be, Dick Grayson, that bitch acrobat.
He jumps inside the giant monster as Batman is he is tempted to fight Hugo Strange. And
a news report says hero dives into mouth of madness.
Which apparently, I don't know what Nightwing did inside this guy, but it literally starts vomiting up blood and it explodes. And okay.
And
then I do think this twist is kind of brilliant though, with Batman and Hugo Strange, that Clayface starts like surrounding the building and literally suffocating Bruce and Hugo, and just Hugo, because Bruce is able to hold his breath for a very long time.
But yeah, so because I was actually thinking, what's Clayface been up to? He was kind of a big part up to this point.
I kind of like the shit-eating grin that Basil is drawn with as he covers the entire building in himself.
Yeah, so it's and it's this big the big power line to defeat the villain of, you don't understand me at all, Strange. I don't run from my monsters. I embrace them. And then he's unconscious.
The big monster is defeated, and we start to close out our event. We start to clean up the city. We get more help from the Justice League, which is nice. And and Bruce and Kate bury the 4 bodies that made up the 4 monsters that Strange unleashed, which I think is a really nice touch to end the story on. And that is where we end Night of the Monster Men. Yeah. But it's a fun time. It's a really fun time. I can't really fault it on anything. Like it's a really messy ending, but again, like I don't think I really would have expected much else. It's just a fun time.
It's also just not. It's just not a super amazing story. Like it's good. It's decent.
Yeah. I think it was actually like the first ever crossover thing that DC Rebirth actually did.
Very probably.
Yeah.
Based on what they're doing.
Yeah. So it's a good time. It's a fun first story for them to be like, let's just try crossing these over, which must have been especially hard to plot out because again, all these books were twice monthly. So like, that entire event came out in 1 month.
In 1 month, which is a lot.
Fucking month. Yeah. So all right, here we fucking go. I Am Suicide. This is that is not. That is the name of a story.
Yeah.
I realized what I did just a second too late. All right. This is Batman number 9. Here we go. This is the start of the five-part story. I Am Suicide.
5-part story. A very quick 5-part story overall. Like,
didn't you read these last 7 issues of this in one night?
This entire back half in a day that I wasn't intending to do. Wasn't my intention.
I was at work at the time, and you just messaged me. You were like, "Oh man, this is a great story." And I got back to you. I think like an hour later. I was like, "Oh cool, how far are you?" You're like, "Oh yeah, I'm almost done."
I just finished the 5-issue story. So then you were like, "You should do rooftops tonight." It's like, "Oh, I am."
Yeah. So needless to say, it's good.
It's really good.
It's really good. Yeah.
It's also just really well paced. Like,
yeah. Like, I think all of these arcs are really well paced.
Yeah, but I mean, to compare this with the other big Tom King story of sort of this episode, I think I Am Suicide is better paced than I Am Gotham.
That's fair.
Like, I think something happens at the end of issue 9 that everything just kind of clicks into place immediately. Also, this cover.
Yeah.
This cover.
I love that. Also, it kind of spoils the whole issue if you're able to make out who all the hands are.
Oh, so see, I wasn't looking that closely.
Yep. You can literally see like every single one of the team that he puts together.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
anyway, so Batman makes his own Suicide Squad, but not before we start on a great opening that is it's Bane as a child. You see him grow up. So this is I will say, like, this is the entire reason I had us read Nightfall. Because Bane's a big part of the Tom King run, and I think knowing where Bane kind of comes from is essential for this.
I will say, if I hadn't read Nightfall, I probably would not have gotten as much out of this story. Definitely not as much out of this opening.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like, you do kind of gloss over most of Bane's upbringing, Inventions of Bane. This is like it's a really hard-hitting opening.
Also, Kel Hannon is on art. Kel
Hannon does all 5 issues of I Am Suicide.
Also, I don't think they've really mentioned June Chung. She's done quite a bit of the colors.
Yes.
She's great.
Yeah.
It's always nice when there's a name of art that I don't know and I'm pleasantly surprised by.
Yeah. Definitely.
Especially like nowadays, because like probably like mid 90s, like you only had like, especially in terms of colorists, you only had a handful of colorists that are people colorists.
They're good colorists. They were pretty much putting out the entire catalog at the time.
And very good.
I mean, we're still going through that just in the lettering department these days.
This is true.
There are like 5 letterers in the industry
my point
right now.
is that such a limited pool of artists and creatives on things like this means that there's less of a chance of a surprise like this for unique colors.
Especially in a lot of these like opening sequences in I Am Suicide, where like there are just some really evocative colors used here.
I mean, every time we see adult Bane,
first off, he's naked the whole time, which is which is a choice. But also representative, literally, of the fact that Bane is kicking Venom right now. That like this is him as he is.
It's a
cool
recovering drug addict on a throne of skulls.
Yep.
Colored in these gorgeously shadowed oranges.
Mm-hmm. He has the psycho pirate who is literally helping him with his addiction. He has the psycho pirate tell him that he doesn't need venom, that he is happy, he is brave.
He's Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
Kicking. Do you not know the story about Jordan Peterson's drug addiction?
You know what? I don't actually. I just thought you were saying that because it sounds like something Jordan Peterson would say to himself.
It does, but it's a whole other
You are
layer.
happy. You are brave.
But Jordan B. Peterson was addicted to I think benzos, and instead of actually facing his addiction, he put himself into a medically induced coma in Russia.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's all right. That's sure.
Also, this is also some dumb Jordan B. Peterson, stupid, not true self-help bullshit.
Yeah.
Just kind of the point. But a great opening. Like this opening was just really striking. Like
yeah. And then we go over to Wayne Manor, where Bruce is still looking after Claire. After all this, Bruce is very much aware that she's probably not doing well, and she's probably going to die soon if Bruce isn't able to get some help for her. And that is, as previously established, in the form of the Psycho Pirate, who Bruce is determined to go to get. Not before, of course, once again referencing Adam West Batman with the button under the Shakespeare bust. Yep.
Which I don't know. I love what I've loved about King so far is the references. So I don't know if the term fan wank has made it to just general fandom communities.
I think it has, sort of.
Because I know it originated in the Doctor Who fandom.
Yeah.
But like, he's never letting his little references get in the way of the story.
He's using them to tell the story.
It's very much he sees a place, especially like take issue 6 of the run, where you have all those little villains. And what's going to happen in a couple of pages here with Bruce going to Arkham to assemble a team because he's tell Gotham Girl that I'm coming back. Tell her I promised her because he's going to accept Miss Waller's proposition.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he uses the references to fill natural holes. It's not like forcing in a reference because guys, I love Batman. Look at all the Batman references I can make.
Aren't a big Batman fan? Like, he knows that's not what makes this good,
It's Batman has to suit up. All right, I'm just gonna slip in this subtle art reference to Batman's the Batman 66 show. We're going to Arkham Asylum. Here's a bunch of C and D list villains, but not before we get to.
Oh, and Tom King loves his C and D listers.
we have an underrated villain for me.
Yeah.
Last scene I think on the podcast, I believe in Nightfall.
Oddly enough, also in Nightfall. Arnold Wesker.
Yeah, the ventriloquist.
Yep.
I know the War of Jokes and Riddles is an arc of the Tom King run.
Yep.
Only because I this is gonna sound ridiculous. But at one point when I was at Barnes and Nobles, I saw like that trade, and I was just like, that's a ridiculous title.
Also drawn by Mikel Hannon.
Which is a good thing.
It's a great arc. I'll say one thing about it, just so you're not like, so you don't prejudge it. It's a prequel arc, actually. It doesn't take place like in the present day, but Tom King has a very specific reason for telling a story that takes place in the past. It happens. The idea is it's something that happened.
From this, I assumed it was some sort of a flashback arc.
Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, because it says the tragedy of War and Jokes and Riddles a few years back. I don't think Tom King's an incompetent writer to use the same.
Sorry, I thought you were like, sorry, I was more like saying that because you do like of the arc itself. Sorry. Anyway, so ventriloquist is here. I love the way Hannon draws these like scenes of him just like looking at his hand because he's another one overcoming an addiction right now, which is Scarface.
I wouldn't call Scarface an addiction because Arnold Wesker essentially suffers from dissociative identity disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, Arkham Asylum, not a great mental health institution. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Batman fans, if that is a hot take. um,
But also, King really holds off on using Scarface in this. In fact, I'll say right now, Scarface gets one scene in this whole story, and it's one of the best scenes in the whole story.
yes.
It's so good.
It is. I don't know. I love the way Hannon frames the Hand, right? Like through all of these issues, like, and it's always that right hand of Arnold Wesker that's just there's rarely any like there's rarely any panels with Wesker in them where it's like if the hand is there, it's going to be emphasized in some way.
Yeah. So we are putting together our team. Ventriloquist is the first member of our team. We get a look at the rest of Arkham. We see a couple other C&D listers here. Kite Man is once again featured. Tweedledee and Tweedledum are here, which I love.
We have the Condiment King.
The Condiment King.
And Calendar Man.
Yep.
And a character called Jane Doe who draws what looks kind of like a LexCorp logo.
Yeah, more on her some other time. But yeah, so we got our next member of the team, who's a familiar face to you. One Ben Turner, the Bronze
Tiger. Yeah. I was so happy when he showed up. I'm like,
right? Isn't it great to see him here? Oh man, what a great character. Yeah, so happy to have him here.
I also like how Bronze Tiger, despite being in Arkham, not portrayed as villain.
Like, still, you wouldn't. Yeah,
like immediately
makes that distinction there.
The fighting between Bruce and Ben here. These are two friends having a friendly sparring match.
Yeah, it's camaraderie. Yeah, it works. Ben has never really been a villain, in my opinion.
Morally ambiguous, sure. And then we have. Okay, this was like my one little quibble with the arc. And I think it's kind of the point of these characters that they're supposed
Julian
to
Punchy. Let them be annoying as fuck. Come on.
Who are these characters, Joey?
I don't really know. I just know them from here, really. Julian Punchy. They're great.
Okay. I
do love the introduction of Punchy though. That he's disguised as Gordon, and then the Julian Punchy are reunited, and then we go to get our last member of Batman's Suicide Squad. We go down this long hall, and we do yet another homage. We do the Killing Joke, as Batman enters this room. I've been thinking lately about you and me, classic Killing Joke shit.
But first, there's this whole thing of like you're allowed to take two criminals out of Arkham, but Bruce insists on the one more. Not that one. It's much too dangerous. It's like,
I'm curious actually. Who did you think it was before they did the reveal?
I wasn't sure.
When
my first guess sort of came into the idea when I saw the way this character is drawn, and just in that first panel where you're doing the Killing Joke monologue of maybe some design on the Scarecrow.
Oh, that'd be fun. Fun. Especially when they're building up this character with the whole kill 237 people. Like okay, well, you wouldn't really think that it would be on this final page reveal. I mean, it's Selina Kyle.
Yeah,
it's Catwoman.
It's Selina Kyle, and that's our Twitch. Our Twitch.
That's our Twitch channel, guys. That's the big announcement for episode 50.
Yes. Selina Kyle, Catwoman, turns 37 counts of murder, death by lethal injection, meow. And this is the switch of the issue where the entire story gets turned on its head.
Now, I think I had told you before that Tom King's run on Batman is very Batcat heavy. I think you knew that.
I am aware that at one point we are building to the potential wedding of Bruce and Selina. I am aware that there is a volume called The Wedding.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling like the fake out, like, so my thought process throughout the fake out was it can't be the Joker because that's too obvious. Like,
Yeah, and also Snyder's run was already so Joker heavy. Like
and I will say,
King
I am
rarely uses Joker.
I am so glad the Joker hasn't shown up yet. Like,
Honestly, I don't think if memory serves, other than War of Jokes and Riddles and like a fairly kind of significant appearance in the wedding, I think that's about it. I think he gets like two appearances pretty much like in the whole run.
I mean, it's a good thing. The Joker's a character who is very easy to overuse because it's the Joker.
Now we say this also as Scott Snyder Batman fans who used Joker in some form or another in every single one of his big arcs.
Yes.
So maybe we're not ones to talk, but
I'll be a hypocrite. I'll be hypocritical.
But yeah, at the end of the day, Joker is a character best used in moderation, and it's just nice to not see him at all here. I don't know, it just works. Yeah.
So
I think honestly, we've covered very few Batman comics without Joker in it at all, and I think this is one of them.
Yeah.
Like seriously, what else has there been? Year one.
I'd argue Court of Owls because of
it's the little
that's a fake out. That's not that's the one where it's not really him.
God, what else?
That's
is that it? Seriously, year one Court of Owls.
That's
I guess technically Strikes Again.
No, that's when I'd argue that it is basically the Joker
with Robin.
Yeah.
Wow. That's jeez, I gotta do something about that.
Catwoman running Rome, maybe? Because I don't think the Joker doesn't physically show up.
There's the dream sequence.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's we need to do some more Batman stories.
We gotta do something about that, really.
Damn, without the Joker.
Jesus. Wow. Honestly, I can genuinely say complete accident.
Well, I mean, in a lot of the appearances, it's small appearances.
Yeah, like in the Jeff Loeb stuff, he gets like one issue to himself maybe in each of those,
and some extra appearances. And we've had arcs like he's not as the Joker in Zero Year, even though it is the Joker.
It's very much the character. Yeah.
It's a twist appearance at the end of Lonely Place of Dying.
Yeah. And also, but still, we did Death in the Family all in that same episode. So wow, okay, that was quite the tangent, but one that I kind of felt we needed to go on for some reason.
After 50 episodes,
yeah.
This is the first one where the Joker is not.
Was he in Night's End?
You know what?
He might not have
been in Night's End at all.
He might not have been in Night's End, which is quite the achievement.
Yeah, no, because that was all. Because Night's End itself was all Bruce, Shiva, and Jean Paul, and then Prodigal was all a bunch of lesser, like smaller Batman villains.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Okay. There we go. We got something in there.
Anyway. We got something.
All right. Anyway, Batman number 10. Let's go. I Am Suicide Part 2. Fuck. Okay. That was.
Okay. So, I will say what I like about the Suicide Squad and the mission. This is a heist story.
Yeah, it's a heist. It's really fun, and there are layers to this heist.
And because Tom King doesn't lay out the heist plan at this point, he doesn't have to make it go wrong in some way.
Yeah.
Because despite it all, this is a heist that goes off perfectly.
Yeah, he doesn't tell you the plan at all before the plan is already in action. So where we pick up here, like Batman arriving at Santa Prisca, the plan is already in place.
Yes.
I also just love the Batman mantra throughout this issue. The Bane, I've come for Psycho Pirate. I need him to save someone who needs to be saved. Turn him over. I go away. Refuse to turn him over, and I will break your goddamn back. Damn back. That's it. I always throw goddamn in there for some reason.
But also,
he's the goddamn Batman.
This, and then I want to say it's issue 12. Mm-hmm. Through it all, I've made notes of this. There is this pair of letters. This first letter is from Selina to Bruce.
Yes.
In the aftermath of killing 237 people, which I will say that threw me for a loop. I'm like, that doesn't sound like Selena Kyle.
Mm-hmm. And you would be right about that. It's meant to be off-putting because it doesn't. It doesn't
and it's
like
clear.
Selena.
King makes it clear that it's meant to be off-putting.
Yeah.
Especially with the way Selena is then just portrayed through all of this, still as Selena,
as she normally would be. Yeah,
this is not a Selena Kyle who has killed 230.
It's a very Jeff Loeb Bruce Selena relationship, which also I will say is another reason this volume is so fitting to do for episode 50, considering we started on Long Halloween, which is where our Batcat shipping on the podcast began.
You turned me into a shipper with episode 1.
I did it. Haha.
So I can squee with joy at episode 50.
Oh, that's great. So we get this great letter here about the supposed killings that Selena committed, as Batman is taking on pretty much Bane's entire army on Santa Prisca. We get some beautiful pages by Mikkel Hannon here.
A lot of this issue is some great action with very light dialogue, all being there for just this letter. I love the reflections from Selena about their mutual past.
Yeah.
Their mutual past is something that King is going to just continually bring up through till the end of this volume.
Mm-hmm. And King just, doing a beautiful job of pointing out why they are so perfect for each other. Yes. DC.
Yes.
But yeah, just I don't know, whatever.
So there's this idea of orphans rising up, all while you have Batman being the sort of one-man army taking down all of Bane's soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, he is pretty quickly overwhelmed then, and thrown before Bane once again, naked Bane. I just feel the need to call that out.
But what's interesting, sort of about the sequence, is sort of what Selena is actually saying. Sort of, it's this interesting parallel of the Great Wayne being cut down completely and overwhelmed in this sea. Sort of this idea of almost a mask of the perfect Wayne family, which of course gets broken up. Then we have our first Bane scene, where it's like, you have invaded my country, you have mocked my laws, and because you have mocked, the good people of the Justice League cannot come for you. You are alone with me.
So good. And as this is happening, Batman is still repeating that mantra about breaking his damn back. And oh my god, it's a brilliant scene. Oh my god. Fuck. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, but yeah,
Bane makes an attempt to break Bruce's back. I don't think it actually breaks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this would be Nightfall all over again if he broke his damn back.
Yes.
But breaks him enough to incapacitate him, and he throws him down in the same.
This is meant to be the first visit to a chiropractor that would break your back.
He throws Bruce down a hole, the same hole that Bane grew up in Santa Prisca, because this is all in that same prison where Bane grew up in.
Yes. And we get more Selena's letter, talking about this terror group working out of Kondak, the Dogs of War.
Mm-hmm. They bombed this orphanage.
They killed 163 orphans in the bombing and 7 teachers and a janitor, who used to give me a thumbs up whenever I walked into a room. Like, this was the orphanage that Selena grew up in.
Yeah. And so she went after the Dogs of War. They had 237 members. Now they have none.
They have none.
It's a really chilling idea. It made even better by the eventual twist with it, which I'm having a hard time not talking about in the larger context of this story.
So here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing, because this letter is very much meant to get the reader on Selena's side,
or at least to believe that she actually did it.
Yeah, or could do it, because at this point, no, I could see that happening, and I could see a human being, a very flawed character. Like Selena Kyle. Because characters are allowed to be flawed, fandoms. Doing something like this. Mm-hmm. But, Bruce gets up. He punches handholds. all while this letter continues, about how Selena made them fast, easy, painless deaths by slipping behind them and dragging them close most of the time. Bruce repeating his mantra, climbing out of the hole.
So good. So fucking good. Oh man, fucking King.
Picking his back into place so he can fall down into the water.
Yep.
Get back up. We talk about the pain being gone. He gets up, gets out, goes to a vault, opens it. Turns out everything's
going according to plan. He is allowing Selena and Arnold Wesker inside, and says now we break his damn back. Going into Batman number 11 with another gorgeous cover.
Gorgeous cover.
Yeah.
Mikhail Hayden does all the covers, I believe, for this, right? As well.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, he does. Yeah.
Oh, I also noticed this is one of the earliest times where these two volumes are where we get Batman created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger.
Yep. Yeah.
In the actual issues.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's 2016 was when they started doing that with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. It was the first time they ever did it.
I still hate that it took that long.
Like, oh my god, yeah, nearly fucking 80 years of the character. Anyway, but yeah, so we open up I Am Suicide Part 3. By the way, I do also want to mention we are a mere little over 10 minutes away from hitting 3 hours in this episode.
This could very well be our longest episode.
Rightfully so. Episode 50 should be the longest episode of the podcast. And I think we're going to hit it.
Until episode 100.
Oh, man. I don't know. I honestly don't know if I could do that, especially with what I have in mind for episode 100. So,
Episode 100, we just read it out very slowly, word for word.
Episode 100 is not, I don't think it's going to be long unless we take a lot of time to celebrate it. But I'm not really budging on what I have planned for it.
So we'll just read it out very slowly, word for word.
Sure thing. Easy.
I Am Suicide Part 3. Start with a flashback to Bat chasing his cat.
Okay. It's a lovely thing that I think King introduced was their little nicknames for each other, Bat and Cat.
Yes.
It's cute.
I will say, one of the things with this being introduced, because it kind of happened recently on Twitter, with you and... Was it Jamie or was it Kian? I can't quite remember.
I think it was Jamie.
I think it was Jamie.
Yeah.
And one of those Ask Me Anything things was like, do you remember how we first met? And it...
It was on the boat, it was on the street, yep. Yeah.
With this dialogue that I had no context for because it was...
Yep.
Like, we were still on episode 49. Yep. So that was just kind of like in the back of my mind, which I think is very funny.
Good. I mean, it's not like I figured it was safe to do. It's not a spoiler or anything. It's just it's something that King really goes hard at. Obviously.
Yes. Also, I love the way Hannon does this sort of like multiple Batmans, like in jump down on this page.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. But so still in a flashback here after Selena has supposedly killed her 237 people, Batman taking her away. And we go back to now. As
it ends on this cat, what am I supposed to do? Because it's she's like, they'll kill me for this. And then of course in now it's just don't let go, Bat. So this very nice parallel of Selena in the present slipping and falling, and this loving embrace between the two of them in the past, which I think is great.
They're going through the sewers here also, with Arnold.
Arnold Wesker just has to watch all the flirting.
You're right. I think Arnold Wesker is just so fucking broken. Like it doesn't faze him.
It's like he just. Can you do your relationship drama somewhere else?
He's just going through the motions with this shit. I love it. Then we go over to, I guess, Team B. I don't know. Second team here.
Team outside.
Yeah. Ben Turner is unfortunately paired up with Julian Punchy outside.
This time, a genuinely insufferable couple. It's a thing.
It's beautiful. Come on, let it be fun. Do you hate fun, Jacob? Is that it?
No, I'm not Brian.
That's true.
He
won't listen to this.
He won't. But Ben Turner sums up my feelings on the matter, so please just shut up.
It's lovely.
And eventually, they're let in. Bane will see them. I do like this point where Ben's like, one more word, like any word? Poop, linoleum, boysenberry, vociferous, ontological, dolly, Taylor, convoy, wheelie, gosh, palpable, grotto, Beelzebub, smorgasbord.
It's lovely. Yeah, it's great. Then as Bruce separates from Selina and Arnold Wesker, they get this great little conversation between each other, with the two of them, as they're first off, Mikhail Hannon crushing the layout here. As in this just
this great
this continuous panel as Selina and Wesker go through the sewers. It's really beautiful.
It's a very tricky panel to pull off.
Yeah, and still be cohesive too. Like you can still easily follow all the dialogue here. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Especially since it's not just straight left to right, left to right, left to right.
Yeah. It's go all the way down, follow the dialogue bubbles upward, and then go back down. Like it's really well done. I think it really works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something that I've really liked about Mikhail Hannon as we've been able to read so much of him in this one. That he's able to do layouts like this and pull them off, because it's like you can be a good artist and still not be able to pull this off.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, the reflection between the characters is fascinating because Scarface is part of Arnold Wesker. Like,
yeah.
And it's an abusive system, because that's what it is. It's a DID system.
Mm-hmm.
But they eventually find Cell Block D, where they should find the Psychopirate. And Flynn's like, they're going to put me down, strap me to a table, and put a needle in me. Batman thinks this mission can stop it, but what I've done, no one can stop it. So Selina tells Wesker just to stay here, and she, gets her way through.
As Turner and Punchy and Julie are brought before Bane as Batman watches from the vents above, and they come to Bane with the cover story of that they're League of Assassins has assigned them to kill Batman, and he's asking Bane for like advice on how to do it, pretty much. But Catwoman comes in and whips Ben and gets him down and tells Bane all about the plan here. That Ben and Julie and Punchy are a cover story, and Batman's already, and that they're all here to attack Bane, and it's all a trap. And she is here and she's here to like offer her help to Bane, as she stops Ben, Julie, and Punchy, and offers her allegiance. And that is where we end.
I will say, I was like. Mainly because I'm genre savvy enough when it comes to heist narratives to know that if you haven't laid out the entire plan of the heist before the heist has begun, it means that the heist is going to go off without a hitch. I kind of called this is part of the plan.
That's fair. Like, I mean, it doesn't make the twist any less effective.
It's a very effective twist. It doesn't that's just more of me being genre savvy. And not King telling a great story.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's even if you can't call it, there are plenty of clues even in the sequence.
Oh, definitely.
With the way it's drawn, just the way Selina's voice is. Selina might be King's best character voice.
Yeah.
I think
truly understanding just how she speaks as a person. It's brilliant. Going into Batman number 12. Batman number 12. This is I Am Suicide Part 4, and this is an issue that always sticks out to me very well when thinking about it. Not just because of what it is, because it's the Bruce side of the letter. It's Bruce's letter to Selina, and it's Bruce making his way through Santa Prisca and fighting Bane's people, but also Mikhail Hannon makes this issue. Almost every single page in this issue is a 2-page spread, and it is gorgeous.
And even the issues that aren't 2-page spreads are...
Well, first off, they're only not 2-page spreads out of necessity because you can't start on a 2-page spread.
Yeah, but also, like, it's a single pager, or if there are traditional panels, they're big.
Yeah,
and they're
big
incorporating into a
panels,
larger
or they're much smaller panels thrown into your 2-page spread to show like what's happening in between each hit.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
it's so good.
It's
so
also
good.
an issue with very, like, no actual dialogue until the very end.
Yeah.
Like, the only character to get dialogue is Bane. He gets 2 lines at the end. Great lines, but 2 lines.
Yeah.
And then a couple lines on this first page. Like, so a lot of this letter is utterly fascinating. Because
it's Bruce reflecting on him as Batman, what he does.
Yes. So did we say this was Batman number 13 because it's number 12?
I said 12.
Did we? I thought you said 13. I'm losing.
I'm pretty sure I said 12. I should have, yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of this letter reflects on Bruce and his relationship with his parents.
Yep.
His father being sort of the older image of the father who doesn't quite know how to emotionally connect with his son. Not necessarily like in a bad way, but just sort of in that old-fashioned way, reflective of masculinity in society, reflecting that mother and father, they would have laughed to see me all dressed up, the Batman. They would have laughed and laughed. This idea that the world was a burden to them, a burden they bore with dignity and kindness. Which
there's
I think
there's so many great lines just in this one issue alone.
And it's this reflection of Batman's a ridiculous idea. But I like the idea of Bruce trying to find that dignity and kindness in the world at this point in his life. I mean, because this is a Batman, 4 Robins, 3 Batgirls, a Clayface, and now Duke Thomas. Like, he has his own family.
Yeah. It's also this issue where we get the on the deluxe edition we have this great wraparound on the inside.
It's just the bottom half of this page. It's not like the top is largely relegated because there's some smaller panels on top of it.
But it's still Mikkel Hannon just being a fucking legend. Oh my god, he does so many great pages in this. It's awesome. But I like just the letter. It hits really hard. I could read out the whole thing because it's all so good. There are a couple of like key moments I want to call out in the letter though. Obviously, you already mentioned his parents. Bruce talked a lot like just how he knows that what he does is ridiculous and how he wants to laugh at it, but it is literally who he is. It's commenting on Batman as a character, I believe. That he is, on the surface, a very ridiculous character. It's just the origin of this character. What's beneath this character is just steeped in tragedy, though.
It's this. What's the idea? It's that's that little rich kid whose mommy and daddy got shot, and instead of mourning them properly, he got on his knees and made a vow. I swear by the spirits of my parents to avenge their deaths by spending the rest of my life warring on all criminals. Kid in a vow. Just how sad, how stupid, how immature. Do you know how much I want to laugh, but I don't? I think of you. I think all of them can laugh. Mother, father, him, the whole world. They can see me in the city and they can laugh and laugh and laugh. But you, Selena, Cat, you wouldn't. You know, because you know what this is. Best moment of the issue. It's paralleled with Bruce gliding out of the prison into the moat underneath and swimming above a shark.
Great.
We then talk about the blood, and sort of just how the pain wasn't dignified or kind.
And then King does something really dark. In this letter, Bruce is a character. Slight trigger warning. Talk of suicide. Attempted suicide, I should say. And King reveals in this moment that, I mean, it's not unreasonable. Bruce, after the death of his parents, considered killing himself. There's this really just vivid description of. I won't read it out because it's insanely triggering.
But I would also recommend if you're okay with this type of story, seek it out because it's a very story.
Yeah. It's
in a lot of ways I was imagining it as a reflection of that, mainly King doing a reflection on that moment that's in year 1 and 0 year of Bruce bloodied with the bell.
Yeah.
And that's where that is.
This really hard, vivid picture of it. And it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough moment. And it serves a purpose though. And I think I dare say it's the purpose of this entire story, the I Am Suicide storyline. Not just literally because the story is called I Am Suicide. It's that connection between Bruce and Selena and them sharing their darkest moments with one another. That really is I don't know.
I like this implication, and it's something that's actually going to develop over the next couple of issues, especially in the Rooftops arc. That when we kiss, the pain goes away because for a moment we share our deaths, and for a moment we don't die alone. Again, still reflecting very much, growing from the Snyder run of Bruce cannot be alone. He needs people around him. He needs a family.
Yeah. And also probably my favorite moment of the note is not long after the confession of the attempted suicide. There's this great line. So that's what it is. The ear is the belt, the gargoyle. It's not funny. It's the choice of a boy, the choice to die. I am Batman. I am suicide. And it's so good. Fuck. Oh my god.
Then it turns out, well, that's also been one of the main theses of this letter. It's also just the confusion of, you say you killed 237 people, and I say you're a fraud.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we need to know. And that's where we end the issue with.
Yeah. We don't even get a resolution to the big issue 11 cliffhanger. Like, it is just taking an entire issue first off, for Mikhail Hannon to flex so fucking hard on everybody, but also for just Tom to just really psychoanalyze not just Bruce but his relationship to Selena,
and in specific Tom King's vision of Batman, because
it doesn't line up with comic book characters are up to interpretation. Nobody writes Batman the same way twice. Or no two writers write Batman the exact same way.
And if it doesn't work for you, that's perfectly fine.
Perfectly understandable. That's why, I mean, just on the larger issue of the way people interact with criticism of comics, I think it's just so important to remember that comics especially are so subjective, especially comics from the big two like DC and Marvel, so subjective because these characters have such long, deep-seated histories in pop culture that nobody, I think, is really going to see all these characters the exact same way. So I think just in general, if you see a characterization or a take that you may not agree with these days, written by a big writer taking on a big run like this, maybe, or some other things going on these days, it's something like that. I think it's just important to remember personally.
I'll even say, like, I'm not 100% on board with Bruce's characterization through all of this perfectly. I think it's great, mostly. There's some things that don't quite gel with me. I kind of prefer the way Snyder did it, but that's fine.
And that's understandable.
And I'm sure there are going to be runs that we read where I just outright dislike the way Bruce is characterized.
Yeah. And that's
there's
okay.
been
that
one
shit
book
just happens. Like,
but I never want to, like, it's okay to like what you like, and it is okay to dislike what you dislike.
Absolutely. But what you should not do, what it is not okay to do, is put anyone down for what they like or dislike, unless they like The Dark Knight Strikes Again. So there's that. But anyway, All right, let's get into this. I Am Suicide Part 5, Batman number 13. Again, Mikhail Hannon just flexing on everyone. I love this first page. I love the layout of this first page.
What this is my brain was like, oh, this is Hannon tributing Steven Soderbergh. With that, multi-frame shots, like,
yeah,
this is like a heist shot from a film that, like, the different frames are coming in and you're getting little things, and I can imagine like some cuts to like the little, like the 4 portrait frames taking up the screen, all done on one page.
Yep.
As the setup to see, this is where we are. And then we go back to Gotham for a moment.
Yeah, because we got to set up a tie-in event, I guess. Well, not really. It doesn't tie into Batman at all. I actually never read this event, to be honest. This was setting up Justice League versus Suicide Squad, apparently, in Amanda Waller visiting the Batcave and talking to Alfred.
Thanks, Mark Doyle, for the editor's note.
Yeah, thank you, seriously, so much.
First off, the image of Waller in the Batcave is kind of chilling. Like, this feels wrong.
That woman can do fucking anything.
I do like the interplay between Waller and Alfred, even if it's just for one page.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all set up.
Santa Prisca. Let's go back to there. Oh man, you know what? The first thing that happened to me when I turned that page for this right now is that fucking panel on the bottom left, where the way Hannon draws Bane's face there. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
that's insane. Oh my god. Anyway, wow, fuck. All right, moving on. So
it's the whole idea of looking for a monster, looking for you. Why would any man do that? I'll always see Wesker checking his watch.
Yep. As Batman fights Bane once again, and Catwoman watches from the side as Batman once again repeats his little mantra about breaking his damn back, as he should.
But it's after Bane goes on this monologue about how the pirate makes it better, makes me better, and tell me you want to be happy, tell me what you want to be brave, tell me you want to know that you can always stop. Bane is almost reaching for this connection with Batman. Which feels very much like a natural extension of the end of where we saw Bane at the end of Nightfall. I know Bane appears in other stories in between.
But I would say like this is the next significant one to do after Nightfall.
Yeah, because people when people talk about Bane stories in the public consciousness, they talk about Nightfall and that's about it.
They
talk about Nightfall or The Dark Knight Returns, or The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. Jacob, why don't they talk about Batman and Robin?
Because that's not Bane, really.
But Jacob, he looks like Bane, and he goes around being dumb and shouting bomb as he places bombs in a place.
Look, there are more interesting things to talk about in that film, like John Glover.
That's true. That's true. That is absolutely true.
And even Uma Thurman and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But have you considered Bomb?
I have not, and I don't want to.
Okay.
Anyway, so it turns out, actually, this was part of the plan all along.
Yep.
I love
the Punchy and Julie escape.
Them
wrapped in bubble gum. Yeah, it's just fun. It's just a fun sequence. I don't know. I like it.
As the prison goes up.
Wesker opens the way for Ben and Punchy and Julie to escape with him. As this is all happening, Bane is still beating the shit out of Batman as Catwoman is so politely trying to get Batman's attention, or rather Bane's attention, as she's saying, just continually bat behind them. She goes after Bane, and she breaks his goddamn back, which is nice. I'm assuming breaks his back. I don't know.
Yeah, very probably.
Very probably, yeah. But yeah, Ben and Wesker just arrive, and
then something happens. It's like, Wesker get the pirate.
And it's like, why was Wesker even here? Well, now we're going to find out why. Because Wesker is completely unfazed by the Psycho Pirate, who tries to possess Wesker like he does everyone else. And then, in the most perfect scene, Scarface emerges finally.
It's like, you think you can get me? No, you can't get me. And do you know why? No, I don't. But because you're scared. I'm scared. You're very scared.
All right, enough of this. I've been keeping quiet till we could get that Arkham. But this here is crossing the line. Sorry, Scarface. It ain't your fault, Wesker. You're a useless tabelard. What could you do? On the other hand, this faceless little turd, you're scared. You're scared. You're scared. Hey, listen, turd. Listen to me. I want you to understand something. No one controls the ventriloquist. No one but me. And it's just beautiful moment. I love it. As like, I don't know, it's just a perfect one-page scene for like one of my favorite Batman villains.
Once again, Scarface is a hand.
Yeah. There's no puppet. There's no puppet. It's just Wesker's hand. It's perfect. It's so good. Anyway, so everyone is knocked out. Ben Turner knocks out Ventriloquist, and Ventriloquist is already knocked out Psycho Pirate. We get everyone out of there. As Punchy and Julie have their bubblegum raft ready to escape on. And then we leave. We get out of there.
Bane by throwing his own words against him.
Yep.
We have this music. This musing on things being, everything's just impossible between Batman and Catwoman of what they've done, and the final page of Bane Alone is just him calling out for Venom.
Yep. Oh God. More on him later, most definitely.
And this brings us into the final two issues.
Yep. This is Rooftops. First off, it's a creative team you're actually very familiar with right now.
Yes!
This is Tom King and Mitch Gerrits. Yeah.
And I believe Gerrits is also doing the covers.
I believe so. I could be wrong. Hang on.
No, in part 2, it's Stephanie Hans doing the cover.
Hans covers.
We're doing them both.
Yeah, it's both. Yeah. Yep.
But they're very good covers.
Yeah.
So these two issues.
Do you like Batman and Catwoman? Well, have I got the story for you?
Oh, it's so good though. Like, yep. Okay.
Oh God. All right. So, once again, Tom King loves his mantras. It's this whole thing about Selina, having her last night of freedom before Batman returns her to Arkham.
First off, it turns out yes, the death penalty is gone. She's just got life without parole.
Yep.
And she's going to be going to Blackgate, not Arkham, which is, I believe, intended to be a step up.
Yeah. Blackgate's like regular prison. Arkham's like literally an insane asylum
for the criminally insane.
Yeah,
it's like they're waiting. I'll take you tonight. You'll take me. Yes, tonight. Oh, and then we have this gorgeous 2-page spread of them kissing under the stars.
God, my God, it's so good. Here's the mantra. This is it. I want tonight. They can have my life without parole, but this night, right here, tonight. Look at it, Bat. It's like a diamond. It shines. It's like, oh my God. Oh, beautiful. Fuck. And the way Gerrits draws just the wonder of Selina and Bruce's relationship here. It's so warm. A feeling. Like just the art. I don't know. That's the only way I can think to describe it. It's just
it's warm in all very cold colors.
Yeah. It's it's so good. Which also, while this is a creative team you're very familiar with, very different kind of story here.
Very different kind of story.
Batman the winning card that we're covering on Fresh Face One Shots through Brave and the Bold is very much a horror story. This is not that.
This is not. This is a romance.
Yeah. And it's beautiful.
It's the whole idea of, you'll run. Why would I run? Because you're you, cat. You run. Yes, and you're you, bat. I run, you catch me. One night, you, me. What would we do? It's late. The air is cold. Our beds are warm. What do you want to do? Well, the bat signals a cock block.
Yep.
And
we'll get there. We'll get there. And we
go
get
through
Tom King once again taking on some C&D list and way much further down Batman villains.
And even Z-list Batman villains.
Yep.
Where
We have the Clock King to start us off here.
It's the one we see in full. Because then every other villain we see is just a panel or two.
Yeah, we have Magpie, which is fun to see. Signal Man, Amygdala. Can you believe that?
Amygdala.
Amygdala.
All of he's doing this conversation between them about how this is. Is this every night? No, not every night. Most nights. And what do you do when it's not most nights? I prepare. To prepare for what? For most nights. For most nights. Don't you get tired? No. Sometimes. What do you do when you get tired? You prepare. I prepare. And it's Magpie, Signal Man, Amygdala, Gorilla Boss, Ten-Eyed Man, King Snake. A Batman villain just called a Werewolf.
Werewolf, Copperhead, and the Condiment King.
Then
Cavalier, Zebra Man, Film Freak. We got Film Freak.
Wasn't he dead last time we saw him?
Yeah, I think so.
The Mad Monk and Kite Man.
Of course.
And so he says, "Are we done?" It's like, oh, we're never done. Hell yeah. And then it's Catwoman's turn to bring Batman into her world.
Yep, we are going to steal this cat. As Selena mentions, a woman named Holly Robinson. Or no, not mentioned. Sorry. This place is leased under a name, Holly Robinson.
Who, if you've read Year One, you will recognize that name.
Mm-hmm. And then they take the cat. They jump out of there. The building explodes.
Bruce is asked point blank, "Who's Holly Robinson?" And Selena just responds with this gorgeous smile on her face, "I am." And the apartment explodes, and in a very Selena Kyle way, we find out, everyone's safe. She owns the floors above and below as well, and installed a very aggressive fire suppression system. Because tomorrow morning she goes away. Instead of 2 cats, there won't be anything. There won't be any. And inside this cat, there are these diamonds. After I'm gone, build a new orphanage, build a dozen. And they decide this night they stop, and they're going to do,
stop doing what they have to and start doing what they like to.
Like to do for one night.
And what do they like to do, Jacob?
They spend the night together under a shining diamond.
Yep. Oh, it's beautiful. Fucking beautiful. Fuck. God, love it. Anyway, part two. Ending off our big episode 50 with Rooftops Part 2, Batman number 15.
And this is the one where we reflect on how they first met.
Yep. It was on a boat. It was on the street. There's a debate between the two of them, it seems. Yes. Bruce is remembering the events of Batman number 1, 1940. Or 39? 39.
39, I think.
And Selena is remembering the events of Batman 404, 1986? 7? 7, yeah. That's it. Batman Year 1, obviously. So yeah, it's a really fun idea that once again King playing on the long-seated history of these characters. They just eventually forgot how they met, and it's a really fun idea.
I also love the plot of Batman number 1, the Catwoman story, because you have Selena in old woman makeup.
Yep. It's great.
Also, Jarrett's does such a good job of
recreating that style.
Recreating
both. Yeah, Bob Kane,
Kelly, and
Mazzucchelli. Yeah.
Would it be Kane?
It will be Kane. Yeah, it should.
I think Kane, and it might also be Jerry Robinson.
Well, Kane and whoever he was tracing over.
I want to say Jerry Robinson because that was the issue the Joker first appeared in.
Yeah. Mazzucchelli then. Great job. I
especially love this panel of where it was on a boat. with the old classic Batsuit and just the way Selina's drawn there.
Not just the classic Batsuit though in that, because it's meant to look like an old version of the Rebirth suit with the yellow around the symbol.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, cool stuff. But yeah, they reflect on that.
Their love and the dawn's happening, and Selina, it's like, oh, it's not late, it's early. Hey, pretty boy, catch me.
And she jumps, and Batman chases after her, and she's gone already. And the next day, probably the same day, whatever.
Oh, it's only immediately just happened. Bruce has to call into Alfred to get information on Holly Robinson, but it's like, wait, she was leasing this apartment on her house, and she knew Holly at the beginning of her career. He's trying to basically get in touch with her because there's a plan. There's a plane that's going to leave. So Bruce invades Commissioner Gordon's bathroom.
Yep, as one does. I love the way Garrett draws Gordon in these couple panels here towards the bottom. Because also it starts on this really great joke where like Gordon's like berating himself in the mirror. He's like, you smoke too much. You're going to die because you smoke too much. You're going to die because every night you go to bed at 5 a.m. and you tell yourself you smoke too much. Then 3 hours later, you get up and you smoke too much. It's just a really funny moment that he like bends down to like spin as he's brushing his teeth, and he gets up and he sees that Bruce is behind him.
It's just like,
it's so good.
Holy, I need your help. Damn it.
It's such a good moment. I love that. But yeah, Bruce asks them to look into Holly Robinson,
unsealing some records. Jim's like, wait, weren't you supposed to bring Catwoman to Blackgate? And Bruce to say, Jim.
Dodges the question. Jim. Yeah, Jim. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like Gordon is just so blasé about just Batman's existence and what he does now that he's been Batman. Great.
Gordon's just like, I've had enough of your bullshit.
Yeah.
But he calls Harvey Bullock to swing by Len's pub and pick up Judge Wolfman from the floor.
Yep. I love it. All the references. We love it. But yeah, Batman goes to see Holly Robinson, who quickly tries to slit his throat. Jesus. This is, of course, the meant to be the same Holly Robinson from year one. And Batman has figured out that Holly is the one that committed the 237 murders that Selina is taking the fall for. Just Bruce, after Holly attacks him, goes to like jump to another rooftop, and he falls, and Selina catches him with her whip.
We also found out that there's a plane leaving in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And Selina catches him, and I usually thought, oh, Selina's going to escape on the plane, but Selina catches him, so obviously she can't.
Yeah,
and then
obviously not. Yeah.
Selina has a scene with Alfred as Bruce is unconscious. Basically, talking about her past with Holly.
Yep.
That she taught Holly everything she knows and taught her how to kill the 237. So I knew.
God, isn't it nice when someone gives Holly a character that isn't child prostitute?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that just comes with reading something that's not by Frank Miller.
That's true. That's fuck. Damn.
I love this insight of students like, I had to help her. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And he also asks, and it's like, if Master Bruce wishes to respond, how shall he reach you? Oh, there's so many rooftops in the city. I'm bound to be on one of them. And she specifically asks, tell him it was the street, and that it wasn't her who saved him. And we then end the issue beautifully on the 6 panels. This idea that she stole it. The night, Alfred. The night. She stole the night.
Tom King, you smooth motherfucker. And that is that. Oh man. Just
somehow the 2-issue story arc is the best thing of all of these arcs.
It's true. I do still love the whole thing, though. It's really good. I also just want to take this moment to specifically draw your attention to one of the Tim Sale variants towards the back. Let me see if I can find specifically the number 14 variant. I need to look at that for a moment. Tom King shared this lovely story about Tim Sale when Tim Sale passed away. That Sale drew this cover for number 14, and Tom called him up eventually, and he was like, "Hey, Tim, how many arms does Batman have?" and Tim just hadn't realized it the whole time making the cover, and they both had a good laugh about it, and it's lovely. There are 3 arms that Batman has there.
I was gonna say, like, hang on, because he's got one
arm holding your hand, one arm around your waist, and another one holding your face, and it's just really funny. I wanted to call that out because whenever I think of Tim Sale, I just kind of think of that story. It's nice. Anyway, that was that. Woo, wow. That was episode 50. And this is most definitely the longest episode of Fresh Faced Comics. Wow. Whew. That was a big one. My throat hurts. My throat actually hurts. Wow. Fuck. I'm okay. I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it, surprisingly.
Yeah. What do you mean surprisingly? Here's the thing, though. I was super worried that you were already like predisposed to like disliking this book for some reason, because you seem to do that when you know that I really enjoy something. It seems sometimes that you want to go in to dislike it for some reason.
My fear. See, it's my fear. Like, oh, what happens when we find the one where our tastes do not align at all? Because it's going to happen one of these days.
Someday. Hey, we made it through 50 episodes, mostly aligning.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, we have differences.
Yeah. But honestly, hasn't been too bad. So
very, very fun.
Very
good. And here's to 50 more.
50 more, and then some, hopefully.
and then some.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Whew. Once again, before we get into our usual end of episode shenanigans, thank you all so much for this. Just for everything, for listening, for watching. If you watch
watching this little show that started on a whim,
because you knew that I liked comics a lot,
and I wanted to read some Batman.
Yeah. So and here we are. Yeah. Thank you all so much. I really cannot be more grateful. And I know I sound really tired. It's because I am. It's 12:30 in the morning here for me because we started recording later than usual.
Due to a large set of circumstances, partially involving scheduling conflicts, and this being the day. One day we could actually both record.
Like I am free no other night this week, so here we are. So
and I am barely free next week.
And I was just barely available tonight. So yeah. Fuck. Yeah. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Jacob, are you ready to find out what the very first episode of our first Marvel block is going to be?
I mean, I am going to lock in a guess. I have a guess.
By all means.
Okay.
By all means.
I mean, it is The Amazing Spider-Man by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. That's
what makes you say that.
It's Spider-Man. Spider-Man is Marvel's Batman. We started the podcast with DC and Batman. We're going to start Marvel with Spider-Man. That's how these things work.
You are so confident in that I can really only do one thing, and that is reward you for your confidence and say that, yes, next time on the Fresh Faced Comics, we're covering, The Amazing Spider-Man by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. That sounds weird to say out loud for some reason. Fuck.
The oldest comic we will be doing.
Yeah, it is the oldest comic we will have covered so far. We're doing 2 episodes on it. We're going with the Marvel Masterworks split up for covering it, even though I know you prematurely bought an omnibus of it. But right, I think you did.
Look, with Marvel having their problems with things being in print.
They do, yeah. It's a problem. It's a very bad problem. But yeah, so this is the Marvel Masterworks split up of it. For our first episode, for episode 51, it's going to be Amazing Fantasy number 15 and Amazing Spider-Man number 1 through 10. And volume 2 of the Marvel Masterworks split up is 11 through 19 and annual number 1. So yeah, that'll be that. That'll be the first 2 episodes of our 10 episode Marvel block that kicks off episodes 51 to 100. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I am so unbelievably excited about our Marvel block because first of all, I haven't reread any Marvel up until prepping for these, which is crazy because I just haven't been reading Marvel that long comparatively to my very long history with DC. But yeah, it's weird to me. But also that makes it very exciting, for obvious reasons. So yeah, that'll be episode 51 and 52.
Episodes 51 and 52. Okay.
Yeah,
I am so excited.
Yeah.
Wait.
Wait,
Hang
what?
on. Is there potential for a guest next time?
There is potential for a guest. I don't want to lock anything in because I don't know the full availability of the
potential
guest.
It's going to come down to scheduling. Scheduling can be a bit messy with this guest.
But as it stands, yeah, there's a very high likelihood of a guest. So yeah.
Yes.
And if nothing else, for guests on the podcast, for the first Marvel block, I have 2 episodes that we're definitely having a guest on. Like for sure, locked in. So yeah. All right. So yeah.
All right. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah. In the meantime, as always, I will leave these books linked in the description below. Batman Rebirth Deluxe Edition #1 and Batman Night of the Monster Men. Those will be in the description as Amazon links and all that. Same goes for Spider-Man. I'm going to put the Masterworks links down there because you can just buy the digital book. I don't know how else to do it, really, because, again, as Jake has mentioned, Marvel is really bad at keeping their books in print, so I can only do so much.
The digital stuff...
You're going to have to at some point.
At some point... There are other collections and ways. Yeah, I'm fully expecting it. I'm hoping to catch if there's a series that I start to really, really like to get in physical. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But it does help, of course, that you already have the Omni for Spider-Man.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. For the the Amazing Spider-Man. That's one where I'm going to try to track down at least those first 5 amazing Omnis that they have. Yeah. They're putting the 4th one, which I'm going to snag because that has a very famous story in it.
Yes.
Yes.
Otherwise, check out other things on the channel. Fresh Face One Shots. We just finished covering Night Terrors just at the beginning of this month when this comes out. So that's all out there. Also this month we're covering Superman #6, Batman Brave and the Bold #5, and Wonder Woman #1 by Tom King. So more Tom King in your future. It's exciting.
More Tom King in my future. More Tom King ongoing in my future. Well, yeah.
I don't know if I honestly don't know if Tom King's sticking on Brave and the Bold.
I mean, even if he is, Brave and the Bold's going to be more anthology stories. It's not going to be
exactly.
It's going to be a different beast to.
Unless Tom King and Mitch Gerads just retell the entire history of early Batman.
I mean, I could see King doing that though.
I'd be down for that. I'd be really down for that. Imagine living in a world where Tom King definitively says that Batman met Catwoman on a boat. Anyway, but that'll be coming out. Star Trek reviews are rolling out. What are we on at the time?
You will have just released a piece of the action.
A piece of the action. Maybe they'll want a piece of our action. Yeah, it's a great episode. Check that out. I guess obviously same for you. Same for you with the blog review. That'll be out already. Also on the channel, just end of last month, we released the 8th episode of Breaking Brian for Better Call Saul Season 2. That's all out there. And we're coming towards the end of that series. We have 4 episodes left in that, and that'll be coming out throughout the rest of the year. So that's fun. And what else? Anything else for you to promote?
I don't think so.
Cool.
My throat is also getting kind of very dry.
Mine is so sore. I need to end this episode.
You are all wonderful listeners and viewers.
You are. Thank you all so much. Thank you for 50 amazing episodes and many, many more in our future. It really means the absolute world to us that that we have the support that we do. Thank you to every single one of you, all of the guests that have come on the podcast, all of the people that have submitted questions and comments and the like over the past months, and we're coming up on 2 years soon. That'll be in October. That's fucking crazy.
By the time you're seeing this, about a month and a half. Which
it's almost 2 years of this podcast, which is blowing my mind. But yeah, I've loved pretty much every second. So yeah.
Except episode 30. That was annoying.
It was a good time. It was a good time.
Anyway, take us out.
Yeah, all right. Thank you all so much for listening. Until next time, this has been Joey Morgan
and Jacob Licklider.
Goodbye.